Yo, what's going on? This is JUSTROC from MZK Floor Gang, the Rock Dance 852. Welcome to a brand new episode of A Conversation with Royalties, Season 2, Episode 4, featuring the one and only, one of my biggest inspirations in b-boying, rocking, and in life in general, my brother from MZK, Ready to Rock, BVD, VIX, the Vapor. This one is a long time coming. I've always been wanting to talk to Vix for a long time, just to really even though we're in the same crew, I really wanted to pick his brain and really listen to his journey and how he got into hip hop in the first place, how he became such a name in both the breaking scene and in the rocking scene, and how he established himself in such a established figure in the hip hop community as a whole. I've decided to do this long and detailed interview, and where he will share with us his journey with a lot of photos and other stuff that kind of illustrate how he got to where he is now, and just to listen to how he shared his history. I think it's really dope that he agreed to take the time out to talk to me, and I feel like I'll be able to get to know his story more, and I'm sure all his knowledge that he has will be valuable to everyone listening to this interview. So hope you guys enjoy it. And just enjoy the show and stay tuned for more guests coming up on this season's A Conversation with Royalties. So I enjoy. All right, bro. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this. Like, it's been a really long time coming. Finally, we got to sit down and have a detailed conversation, and really just mainly just to go through your journey in hip hop. I think that's already for me super inspiring just to hear you share like how you got to where you are right now. So yeah, man, how you doing, bro?
Doing excellent, bro. Excellent. I got to give all praise to the Lord. He's been really blessing me. Been able to travel, been able to dance and spread the rock. You know what I mean? We just got back from Australia. It was a gospel hip hop conference in Sydney, Australia. So I taught a dance workshop. Was a judge for the 2-on-2 battle, the b-boy battle they had at the Park Jam. And right after that, I went to a freestyle session and was the judge for the rock battle freestyle session. And yes, so getting ready to have an Ill Style Rockers Christmas Jam, and that's going to be the 23rd of December. And so I'll get into a little bit of Ill Style Rockers and the importance of the Ill Style Rockers Christmas Jam later on when I go into my story. But yeah.
Nice, man. I mean, you are involved in a lot of different stuff at the moment. Like, you mentioned like the gospel stuff, and then of course you have different crews that you're involved with. So it looks like you are keeping yourself super busy right now.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely always trying to keep myself busy. Like Mr. Wiggles says, stay busy.
Yes, sir. Stay busy, yo. So let's go all the way back. Tell us about where were you born? Like, how was your childhood? Where were you back all the way back when you were a child? Where do you get raised up?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it starts with my grandparents. They're from Puerto Rico, and they came to New York. I want to say in the 30s or the 40s, and it came over through Ellis Island. Immigrants and all that. Both my parents were born and raised in the Bronx, and so my father he lived in my father lived off Simpson, and my mom lived off Grand Concourse, and they were basically my father he lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with 10 siblings.
Oh my God!
Right. So
damn.
And a single mother.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So by the time he was young, a kid, 8, 9, he was already in the streets, just being, getting into trouble and stuff like that. So, fast forward as when he was a teenager in the 60s, he was a hippie. He went through the hippie movement. He went to Woodstock and all that. Got into drugs, street life, gangs, and all that kind of culture. So, to make a long story short, he basically found himself in jail in Rikers Island when he was early 20s, and he read a
Mm.
book called The Cross and the Switchblade. And if I was inside my house, I would show you the album record that I have.
Oh wow,
I have 3 copies of it, but but
that's sick.
it's a book that they turned into a movie, and the soundtrack has breaks on it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it's about a preacher who goes to New York City, and he basically runs into these gang members, um, and he basically like saves them from like the rumble, and they were about to kill each other and everything like that. So he read the book while he was in jail, and he said a prayer to the Lord, and he said, "If you get me out of jail, then I'll turn my life around and I'll serve you." And
Mm.
basically, he stood before the judge soon after that, and the judge said it was a Jewish man. He said, "I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to give you a clean slate." And
Wow.
and so like the Lord pretty much answered his prayer, and so he kept his side of the bargain to the Lord, and he checked into the rehabilitation program to
Mm.
the author of the book. They had a program as well to help kids and young
Nice.
people get off the streets. So he checked into the program. The program is called Teen Challenge, and so he got sober and he started, he changed his life around.
Wow.
So in jail, he in the program, after the program, he basically was offered a job um, running a boys' orphanage in the countryside in Maryland.
Mm.
And so it was so he took the job, and him and my mom also, they were already married. So
Okay.
she followed suit. She also went into the girls program, and so when they got out, they accepted the offer. They took the job, went to Maryland to countryside, and started this boys orphanage. And so like the
Mm.
boys orphanage, basically a lot of street kids from the city that got into trouble, and
Mm.
they get sent to the countryside to kind of try to get their lives together and stuff like that. And they were orphans, so no father, no mother. And my dad used to take care of these
Mm.
kids. So that brings me to me. I was actually born in Maryland, and so that's why I was born in Maryland. I was kind of born on the countryside, small town called Elkton. But my family, both my parents being from the Bronx, it was an urban household, and all the urban kids and the orphanage and stuff like that. So, it was kind of like living on the countryside, but I also had that urban influence growing up as well.
Mm. Geographically, how far is Maryland from like New York? Geographically,
It's about 2 hours south.
like
So
drive.
it's not, yeah,
Ah, so it's okay. So it's not like super far away from New York.
no, not at all. And it's still the East Coast. So I'm definitely, East Coast born and raised.
Mm. So you mentioned it's kind of like an urban household, right? So what do you remember the most growing up as a kid in that kind of environment?
Well, my older brother, he got into DJing right away. When he was a teenager,
Mm.
so I would listen to hip hop, and stuff like that. I mean, I remember, dancing. I remember dancing New Jack Swing style when I'm, 8 years old. I'm already dancing.
What?
I used to go, and we used to go to New York all the time to, like I said, my dad had 10
Yeah.
siblings. So all my aunts and uncles are living in New York. I'll go out there for parties, holidays, and that. And my aunts always tell me they even have videos of me dancing in the parties when I'm a little kid,
Oh wow.
dancing salsa, dancing whatever at the parties. So I was always a dancer at heart, even
Mm.
as a young child.
Yeah.
So
Do you
yeah,
have any?
so
You have some photos of you when you were young, right? That you can share with us, maybe.
yeah, I'll show
Someone
you actually. Yeah,
when you were
so
super young.
okay, so let me see. Let me see. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Sure.
So this is he's a gospel rap artist named T Bone. My father,
It looks super. It looks so raw, man.
yeah, he was a gang member who gave his life to the Lord and started rapping. Um, so and he traveled, he traveled the country and stuff like that, doing his rap music with the gospel message. But
Mm,
he's a street dude from California, and so he was one of my idols growing up. Like when I was young, I was really only allowed because my parents raised me Christian, so I
mm,
wasn't really allowed to listen to a lot of the secular rap music.
mm-hmm.
The ugly language and the
Yeah,
content stuff like that. So I grew up listening to a lot of gospel hip hop actually,
nice.
and my father actually brought this guy from California to Maryland. He did a show in the high school for the kids for free, and so that's the type of outreaches my father was into when I was growing up.
How old were you there in this picture?
That had to been 94, 5.
Mm,
So I would have to been, say I was born in 80. I was born in, no, this had to been before that. It's probably had to been 93,
mm,
93, 94. I was born in, 84. So
okay,
I was, had to been like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9.
8 or 9, right?
Yeah, or maybe even younger. I look kind of young.
You mentioned that your mom and dad is from a Puerto Rico background, right?
Yeah, yeah. Both my sides, my grandparents are from Puerto Rico.
So in the household when you were young, because I know that there's a lot of music going on, that they listen to salsa and all that kind of music. So were you
Yeah.
exposed to that kind of music basically from birth when you were at the household when they had parties, gatherings? That was that kind of music already playing all the time?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. My mom was a salsera. She used
Oh,
to compete when she was in high school in New
wow,
York. Yeah. So and this is another picture of one of the idols that I used to listen to. It was one of the rap artists, gospel rap artists. His name was Mr. Solo,
sick.
and so
That's,
we got to meet him. This is my older brother to the right who used to DJ,
well, you
and
guys
my other
look alike. You guys look so much alike, bro.
yeah, yep.
Wow.
So that was probably
How much older is your brother?
I have one brother who's 1 year older, and then I have my my brother who was a DJ. He's
Mm,
about 5 or 6 years, and then my
mm,
other brother is probably about 7 years. So they were quite quite older than me. So they
mm,
was teenagers into that hip hop. It was totally into hip hop. Like I say, he was DJing. So I'm a young guy looking up to my older brothers. I did what they did. I was into the hip hop too. Even as a
mm.
young age. So I don't know. Somehow, like I said, he started DJing. He found turntables, he got records, and so I was dancing. I was already dancing like the New Jack Swing style and stuff like that. Whatever I could, even trying to break, like throw myself on the ground. Didn't know I could, but doing the worm and the kick and all that, the kick up and all that. So
But do you remember seeing someone do that movement before you threw yourself on the ground? How did you begin to even explore those movements? Like, did you see something, see somebody? Like, how did you get that idea to just kind of like get down
well,
as a kid?
like for example, that rapper T-Bone, the first picture that I showed you,
Mm.
he had dancers with him that he brought from Cali. And
Oh.
he had some break type moves. They would do
Mm.
windmills and different things like that, flips and stuff like that. Um, so I didn't really understand fully what a b boy
Uh huh.
was. To
Yeah.
hear the term b boy in the lyrics and the fat
Mm.
laces, I didn't know what that stuff meant, but I was listening to it and I was aware, and so I was young, 5, 6 years old, didn't know what I was doing, but I tried to do it. So,
So, was there any other kids that was around? This is in Maryland, I assume. Like, was there any other kids that was kind of like enjoying the similar stuff that you were, or were you just kind of jumping around in your own family situation?
yeah, yeah, not really. I mean, I remember I had my best friends, they were two twins. And, they was from the country, they was into video games and basketball and stuff, but like, we were different because I would always bring to them the rap music and they never liked it. Like, yo, you gotta listen to this. Like, this is cool. And they were like, nah, we never really vibed like musically. We were just kids, ride bikes and other things. But so in that respect, like it was kind of funny. Like I was pretty much the only Latino in town at that time. Like I said, it was a small town, so I kind of we've kind of stuck out. Our family kind of stuck out as Puerto Ricans and stuff like that. But like I said, just going to New York all the time with my family and being in the household. My father was very connected to New York and the urban culture and stuff like that. So I was raised in the I had the best of both worlds, I guess you could say.
True. Were you also into DJing? Because obviously, seeing your older brother doing it, it must be so cool for you as a little brother, looking up to him, scratching and all that kind of stuff. Were you also interested in going into that style of hip hop early on?
No, no, no. I was never interested in DJing. My brother's always been into technology and things
Mm,
like that. For me, it was a little too over my head. I was too little to really understand it.
mm,
So I never really got into it. I just liked music, the hip hop music and stuff like that. But I never tried to DJ myself. I mean, you know, I saw my brother and he would DJ for rap groups and stuff like that. And so, actually, when that brings me to Ohio, um, and what was it? I would say 97. In
mm.
1997, my family ended up moving to Ohio
Okay.
because my older brother, the one that was DJing, he went to college. He went to a Bible college in Ohio, and my family went out to visit him. They liked the area, decided to relocate to Ohio, and so
Mm,
at that point, I'm 13 years old, and I thought I was 12. 12 was the end of 97, and
okay.
like I said, my brother was already in college over there. He had met some friends. He got involved with a rap group, a gospel rap group by the name of John Rubin and the Showcase MCs.
Oh, nice.
And so there he was the second DJ. 'Cause they had two DJs. They were a big rap group. They was like a Wu Tang. They had like 10, 12
Sick,
members.
sick.
And yeah, and so like I said, he was a DJ for them. So when I moved to Ohio, he introduced me to his friends, and two of those guys were b-boys,
Mm,
and there was Alon and Manny, and they was my first teachers. So as
nice.
soon as when I saw them break, like I said, I already was a little bit familiar with it. So
Yeah.
when I seen them do it, like for real, I was like, I knew right away I wanted to do that. Like, teach me everything you know. Like, I know that is for me. I remember like it was yesterday, just seeing it. Like even on video, my brother showed me his friends on video saying, watching them break and saying like, that is me. That's for me. I'm gonna do that.
Mm. And this
You
is
know.
like 97, right? When you moved to
Yeah,
Ohio.
this was in '97. Let me see if I can show you another picture. All right. So this is all the way to the right is Alon. He was an MC and a b-boy. And then
Sick.
all the way to the left was Manny and DJ Manuel. He was a DJ and also a b-boy. And he actually
Mm.
went on to be a DMC champion, two-time DMC champion.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
Yep. And so he's pretty well known. And then this is us, obviously older. But
Mm.
when I met these guys when I was 12 years old, and they were the ones who taught me how to break.
And yeah, you mentioned that Alan and many kind of like the first teacher that you ever had, right? In terms of breaking.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
what did you remember in terms of like see you said that seeing them for the first time for real, it really like want to make you want to do it, right? But what was it about breaking that caught your attention the most? Like do you remember, was it because of the dynamic power moves, or was it because of like footwork? Like what kind of got you so like attached to this, like the moment you saw it?
I think because I've always been a dancer at heart,
Mm,
and I grew up in hip hop music. I was kind of trying to find my place in hip hop,
Mm.
you know, and so I'm like getting exposed to like the different elements in hip hop, and you know, my brothers and his friends are doing, you know, MCing and DJing and you know, the graffiti, and it's just like when as soon as I saw breaking, I was like, that's it, that's me, that's my element, that's what I'm doing, because I was always a dancer anyway,
Yeah.
you know.
What was
So and then it
what
intrigued
was
me too,
the
the footwork.
yeah.
When I remember seeing on video, my brother showed me a video. Another guy that used to go to the Bible college. That he was from Chicago, and he actually was down with TBA. He was
Mm.
a member from TBA that came out to Ohio for the Bible college, and he was more of a rapper and graffiti artist, but he could break a little bit. And so he was one of the first people that I saw like doing footwork.
Mm.
And I saw the footwork, and I was like super intrigued. Shout out to Edgar, my homie Edgar from TBA from Aurora,
Mm.
Chicago.
At that time in Ohio, were there, like, to your knowledge, were there other dancers too? Like, I mean, now you are exposed to a bigger city, obviously, and you are being like learning breaking properly from Manny and Alan. Like, was there any other dancer at the practice spot at that time when you were there?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Alon, the guy on the
Mm.
right, he um he actually was the leader of a breaking
Wow.
outreach ministry, where he was teaching kids from the youth group, teaching them break, and they would come up with routines and stuff like that, and they would perform at different places. And you know, they mostly in the church, and then sometimes we would travel different places and do different outreaches and stuff. So, you know, I got connected with Alon right away, and you know, I started taking the classes from him, and the name of the outreach was called Cipher 2000,
Yo, that's a
and
sick name.
that was yeah, that was back in
That's a
that was
sick
like
name.
'97. So it was
Ah,
like kind of a futuristic name, you know. And it
that's
was
sick.
a breaking outreach. I wouldn't necessarily call it a crew. It was more like a ministry. And
Mm.
that was my first involvement. And I kid you not, I was in the group for 2 weeks, and I was already better than most of the kids in the group. Like I was like dedicated to breaking right away. I'm telling you. Like I really took breaking seriously from the beginning when I saw it.
Mm. But is that you in
So
general as a human being though? Is that someone that were you always a kid that kind of like once you like something or you put your heart to something, you were always going to go like all out? Like, is that how you are as a person as a kid coming up?
no, I don't think so. I think dance for me was something special. You know, I
Mm.
really think that, you know, like dance, you know, I believe that God really gave me a talent of dance, you know, and the passion for dance, like and specifically for a purpose. You
Mm.
know, I'm not. It's not that I was like the type of person that, you know, whatever I get into. I think yeah, just like everybody else, you know, I was into skateboarding when I went through my skateboarding phase, and then I went to, you know, the BMX bikes and the
Mm.
basketball phase, you know, and yeah, I was into those things. But when I got into dance, it was different. You know, it was different. It
Mm.
was like that was my calling. Like this was what I knew that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life.
That's crazy. And you were so young at the time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
But
12
did
years
you
old,
know at that time?
and
Did you
within
know
a
that
few
at that
years.
time you would get so serious about like the competing side? Because I guess at that time you don't think about competing, right? I mean, you are just having fun as a kid. Well, you don't
No,
really think about that, right?
no, there were no contests at that time.
Yeah.
There were no contests that I was aware of, especially. You know,
Mm.
it was just really the love of dance, the love of hip hop. You know, I just really loved it. I loved hip
Mm.
hop, and I had heard the term b-boy in a lot of the rap that I was listening to.
Mm.
And so it's like, but I didn't really understand what they were talking about until I saw like them do a footwork, and I saw, you know, the whole package of what a
Mm.
b-boy is, the style of dress and everything. And as soon as I seen it, you know, it just clicked with me. It just clicked right away. And you know, my brother took me around town here in Columbus. We there was a record shop, and it was a hip hop shop, and then it was called Roots Records, and they used to sell bootleg, you know, VHS tapes of breaking.
Sick.
And so the first, I remember going in there like, you know, with like just starting to break within a couple weeks. My brother taking me to the Roots Records and seeing. I looked up on the TV screen. They would had playing the Style Elements Strategic Monsters video,
Yo, that's crazy.
bootleg VHS. And like I said, I'm 12, 13 years old, and I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing Wiggles, I'm seeing Remind and Crumbs and Easy Rock, and I'm just like I'm blown away. I bought that one. I bought Battle of the Year 2096, and I think I bought a freestyle session. One of the early freestyle sessions, like one or two. And so I bought all those right away, and I just, I was watching and trying to, mimic what they was doing and trying to do it the best I could. And yeah, and also behind the Roots Records, they had a club, like a little, it was like a grimy hole in the wall spot with the stage, and they used to have hip hop nights there. And
Sick.
so some of the local b-boys would come out, and there was a crew called Rec Shop here back in the days. Like when I started, they were already dancing, and there was they ended up splitting up into two, and there was another crew called Raw Footage Crew. And so like I would go to we would go to this hip hop spot, they called it Thieves World, and I mean it was grimy, dirty, graffiti everywhere, and like they would have underground hip hop artists perform DJ battles. The b-boys would come out and battle it out, and so that was like my first exposure to the hip hop scene locally in Columbus. Yeah,
Yo,
it's
that was
good.
dope because that was a good way of ending like I guess your Columbus kind of like chapter when you kind of came into Columbus. Like how long did you stay in Columbus for? Because for some reason I always known that you were living in New York. So like I guess the next chapter is it. Did you move to New York after that?
Well, that first crew, those first guys that I showed you,
Mm.
we would go to the local hip hop spots, and we decided to come up with our own crew, just us three at first,
Mm.
and then the other guy in the middle, he came a year later, and we called ourselves Bus One Crew.
Bus One crew.
Bus One, because actually we used to call breaking busing. We used to call it bus
Ah,
like busting, and then also Columbus. So it was like
oh,
we're from Columbus, so we called ourselves Bus One. So like
sick.
like bus a move or something like that, like Bus One.
Mm.
And so, and then the guy in the middle, his name is Fuji. He actually came to Ohio in '98 or '99, and he came from Arizona.
Mm.
And he was already breaking. He was a part of a crew in Arizona, a legendary crew from the West Coast, actually, called um, Arizona Floor Assassins, and he was a member of
Massive.
the Arizona Floor Assassins, and they were primarily a power move crew.
Okay.
And so he was one of the first people that I seen do like power move combos live. And so
Shit.
he had pretty much all the combos, all the basic power move combos, and that really blew our minds. Not a lot of people
Mm.
could do that at that time in my city. So
Mm.
he became part of our group, and he kind of taught us power moves. He kind of taught us the power moves. We had a lot of flavor and footwork, but we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have power moves. And so, he taught us, all of the flares and the 90s and headspins and all that kind of stuff. And so, actually, a little bit of history about Arizona Floor Assassins. They had a couple of guys that he brought to Ohio. I mean, these guys were legendary beyond their years. Like they were ahead of their times.
Mm.
There was a guy. I don't know if you remember. There's a video of Freestyle Session 3 with one of the battles with a little kid that's doing headspins, and he takes off all his clothes,
Oh
and it's the
yeah.
little kid. This is back on Freestyle Session 3, and so he was that little kid's his name was Jacob, and he was an Arizona Floor Assassin, and his older brother's name was JoJo, and he was the baddest dude with the power moves on the West Coast at the time. I mean,
Mm.
I'm talking. He was doing one-handed air flares,
Shit.
one-handed air flares, bro. Back in the year 2000,
That's
early 2000,
crazy.
2001. I mean, he was phenomenal. And he actually, and they were young too. He was like 16, 17. There was another guy named Calvin. He was like 14. and they had made the most amazing, cleanest power moves. They could do all the power move combos. And so, anyways, that's a little sidestep. But Arizona Floor Assassins Fuji, he came, he taught us the power moves. Then we joined together, and then we just went around Ohio. We went to Cleveland, we went to Cincinnati, we even went as far as Pittsburgh, and we were tearing it up. Basically, we were a dope crew. And everybody loved us and respected us. I would like to say that we were probably the best crew in the state.
Mm. Were you
So
were you traveling to events at this time now, or was it like just parties or jams? Like where were you guys going to when you were traveling?
yeah, there would be like little hip hop jam. No, there was no contest like
Mm,
no competitions. They were just
mm,
hip hop events and ciphers and different things
mm,
like that. Where the local, if it was in Cleveland, they would have a local cipher over there where all the local b-boys would come out. We would go out. We would go over there, or Cincinnati, or Pittsburgh. Every once in a while. There was one jam a year here in Columbus, and it was called it was called the Hip Hop Expo, and it actually
okay.
still goes on to this day.
Oh wow.
And that was the first, yeah. And it wasn't a b-boy jam; it was a hip hop jam, and it was in the convention center. And they had a b-boy cipher in that hip hop jam. And so,
Man.
we would go, and that's when I saw Ill Style Rockers, and they came
Mm,
from Akron, Forrest Get 'em Gump, Dre Live, and all these guys. They're one of the first. They're like the first b-boy crew in Ohio, and they because a lot of people don't know, Forrest Get 'em Gump, his grandma is from Akron, Ohio, and
oh
so
wow.
he used to come to Ohio every summer, and he used to live out here half the year or whatever it is, you know. And
Mm,
so he would always be going back and forth. And so they decided to create a crew back in the early '90s called the Ill Style Rockers. And so Forrest Gump introduced Dre Live to Seven Gems and Spice and Nako, and so they was already rocking. We're talking mid '90s, late '90s. It was
mm,
nice with the rock already.
mm,
And so these guys were some of my first exposure to the rock dance.
mm.
All the way back. I met these guys probably '98, '99.
Wow.
Yep.
But at that time, did you already like identify there's a difference between the two dance, like breaking and seeing Nako and the Seven Gems guy rock? Like, do you already know, or were you more like into the breaking that you didn't really like branch into the rocking as well at that time?
No, I didn't. I didn't really. I didn't really separate the two at the time. I didn't really
Mm,
understand
mm,
what it was about. I was exposed to it. Like I said, I didn't know. I didn't see like the Seven Gems, Nako and Spice
mm.
in them, but I saw Dre Live, who had learned
Oh,
from
word,
Spice,
word,
and
word, word.
so Dre Live, which he was nasty back then, he's still nasty to this day.
Mm,
And so they used to have Ill Style Rockers Christmas Jam anniversary every year around this time, and they're still doing it. They're gonna do it here on
so
December
so sick.
23rd, and it's the illest jam in the Midwest. I kid you not. It's just raw, real hip hop, authentic. The essence and all that. It's a great jam. I remember they didn't do it last year because of COVID, but before that, I know Ringo came out, Goody Rock
Wow.
came out. A lot of people come out for the jam and stuff like that. So I know Papa's coming this year and a few other heads. So it's a real small, intimate party.
Mm,
No content, just raw hip hop. Cipher all night, rock, all that. So, but
dope.
yeah, going back to the question, yeah, I didn't. I saw them rocking and stuff like that, and I tried to. I wasn't into it, to be honest. I was at that time after I had met Fuji and them. I was like real focused on the power moves.
Word.
I got into the power move. What was popular and trending at the time. I'm
Mm.
13, 14 years old. I wanted to dance like Free Succession, and
Yeah.
these guys, they were b-boys like to the core. I mean, Puma suits and bucket hats and gazelles, and like they was like hitting footwork and top rock, and like you got a top rock like this and like that, and hit the
Yeah.
freeze and the baby freeze and the chair, and then we was like, this is dope. It's dope, but I was like wanting to look more trendy at the time, you
Uh,
know. So it
talking
didn't
about
really hit us. It didn't hit us right away.
yeah, I mean, you mentioned like Bus One crew, right? That crew that you had in Columbus. I always wonder also
Hmm.
like how did you get your name? Because I'm talking of names now, like your name is like VIX, right? VIX of Vapor. Like how did you get that name and alias? Like did that come already at that time? Was that or is it something that come much later on?
It was around that time. I think I had gone through a couple quick. I had gone through a few names in the beginning that didn't really stick. Um, I had there was one was a Quick Vic. I think was the first one they used to call me, and then
That's pretty dope, man.
the
That's
other
a
one,
dope name.
Quick
Quick
Vic,
Vic is pretty
and
dope.
the other one was B-Boy Magic. They used to call me Magic because I used to top rock with my hands kind of like this, and I would do magic, and so they called me B-Boy Magic for like really, not very long, and after that, they called me Vic's. The original name was Vic's Vapor Rubs. The whole thing, Vic's Vapor Rubs. Vic's Vapor Rubs. And from there, it got shortened to Vic's, and then later on, I added the vapor to it. So
I had no idea it's because of the vapor rub, man. That's crazy.
yeah, 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 Vic's Vapor. Well, my name is Victor, so it was just Vic's Vapor Rubs, and then just got shortened to Vic's, and then later on Vic's Vapor or Vic's the Vapor. So a lot of
Yeah,
variations to my name, but
I wanted to ask, do you have any like kind of photos of that period of time when you were like, you mentioned that you're meeting a lot more heads from other states now. Like, did you have like a photo of like that period of time that you can share? I have to.
yeah, it was actually Fuji in the Arizona Floor Assassins. The guy who was in the middle of the picture.
Mm.
I'll show the picture again. Fuji, he's the one who gave me the name um, Vic's, Vic's Vapor Rubs.
You're gonna bring that name back, bro. You can
Yeah.
start
So
using the vapor rub burn on people.
right, right. All right. So okay, here we go. Got it. I'll show this one real quick again. Like I said, the guy in the middle, the Asian dude, that's Fuji. He came
Oh,
from
can you
Arizona with paddles.
turn the camera sideways? I
Yeah,
think it'll be clearer to the people. So yeah, perfect.
yep. And so he's the one who named me, and he taught me all my paddles.
Sick.
So he was a big influence. You still there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay. Sorry. Um. Yeah. So let me see if I can pull up some couple other pictures from that time. Let's see here. So this one is pretty blurry. Um. But this was one of the Illstar Rockers jams in Akron, and
Wow.
that's me. As you can see, me on the bottom
Bottom left.
left corner, and you can see they marked my hand because I'm underage. I'm only 13, 14 at a bar, and so the guy in the
What
blue
do you
beanie, that's
remember?
Manny.
What do you remember the most from this jam?
Um, just the love, the love and the hip hop, the love for hip hop,
Mm,
just the different connections, the personalities, the people, everything was just raw. You know what I mean? Everything was just raw. I loved my crew. They were like my family, my brothers.
mm,
And we were good. We were really good. Like we were really, we were respected. We were like, we only had been in crew for a couple years, but like I said, we became the one of the best crews in the state, easily.
mm.
And so
Who
everybody
who
loved and respected us, and it's just
who
like vibe, just the vibes.
who else was in this photo that you mentioned? Like you said, Manny was here,
Um,
right?
yeah, Manny, DJ Manuel, he's the one in the middle. I know it's kind of blurry.
Mm,
There was um guy underneath him was from Pittsburgh. His name was Mo.
Nice.
He was one of the best b-boys from Pittsburgh at the time. And then to the right of Manny, that's man, slips my mind at the moment. But anyways, he was one of the younger Ill Style Rockers guys. He was really dope. And then to the left, that's Fuji over there. You got Frank and Yum. This Tone Loke passed away, and yeah, it's kind of blurry. You know, it's kind of hard to see. But they were all like local, you know, just local b-boys. They were all local
Mm,
b-boys and hip hop heads. You know, and it's like at that time, like b-boys and hip hop was just it was one and the same. You know,
yeah.
you was a b-boy, you was a hip hop head. Like either you was into all the elements, or you was a fan and you just loved them all. You know, so
Mm,
that's how we all were. So you know, our jams were like hip hop jams, not just b-boy jams.
word. I
So
mean, like
yeah,
coming back to like, you mentioned that you were traveling around the state, right? So you went to Cleveland and like, did you see people like later on you will be in the same crew now with BC Brooks, for example? Like, did you see like some b-boys from other states that really caught your mind when you were going around? Like, was there anyone that kind of came through and then you met them? You're like, wow, that these guys from this state is like dope, like, and you wanted to challenge them, or you wanted to like battle them to show them that you are just as good. Like, was there any moments like that when you were traveling?
yeah, like you know, this was a jam in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
This was around 2002, and so you know, I'm probably 17 or so, and you know, that jam was called "Break or Be Broken," and
Mm,
um, and you know, there was basically everybody from the state came out, and maybe some other people from surrounding states and stuff like that. And like I said, we just we used to go, you know, we used to just go locally, you know, to different cities around our area, and we just kind of conquered our area like very easily, very quickly. You know,
mm,
within the first 3 or 4 years of us breaking, you know, we were superstars almost
mm,
already in our little scene.
mm-hmm.
And so, but you know, now outside of that, there was a bigger Midwest scene when we're talking about Chicago and like
Ah,
Milwaukee and Indiana and different places like that. And
mm-hmm.
you know, it wasn't when we didn't start to, you know, my first crew, the Bus One crew, we were kind of like we just used to travel around Ohio and Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
and we kind of conquered that. And then, like I said, you know, my boy Alon became an MC. It was more of an MC. My other boy Manny when more into DJing, and
Mm,
so I started to break with other people. You know, we decided to have we basically created a new crew, and this was probably around I would say 2003 and four.
mm-hmm.
We it was like kind of like a super crew from all the best b boys in Ohio,
Oh, nice.
um, and we were called Street Symphony.
Oh,
We're called Street Symphony Crew. And so, and it wasn't until we established that crew that we started to branch out and go out to different places in the Midwest, like Chicago and like Milwaukee and Atlanta, different places. And so, you know, like I said, the Bus One crew, they was more of like Ohio crew. And then Street Symphony was like this conglomerate of like the best b-boys in Ohio, which Taekwon became a part of. Squirt, what they called him Little E at the time. Flex, you know, a lot of the Brooks, you know, a lot of the later became
mm,
MZK.
mm,
You know,
mm.
we came out of this Ohio conglomerate crew called Street Symphony.
Ah,
And yeah, so and I remember we went to Chicago in 2004, and we battled in Chicago City versus City 3. And
okay.
actually, I think I want to say it might have been 2003. And you know, we decided to go out there, you know what I mean, and test the waters, you know, try to make a name for ourselves. We got smoked, bro. We got toasted. I mean, like, you know, we weren't at the level yet. You know what I mean? We were, yeah, we conquered Ohio, the state, yeah. But when we came out, when we went outside of Ohio and
Uh,
different places, we got toasted. And there was a jam in in Ohio, in Cincinnati, called Scribble Jam, and they had it every
mm,
year. And so when we as Bus One went, we were, we got toasted right away. But we didn't stand a chance because there was people coming from Chicago, from Florida, from Atlanta, from
mm,
California, and all over. And that was it was a huge staple jam for Ohio. It was an international, worldwide jam. You know,
mm,
everybody knows about Scribble Jam. You know, they had the legendary Eminem battles and Juice, and the DJ battles. I mean, it was a complete hip hop festival.
mm,
International hip hop festival. They used to have it here in Ohio. And like I said, all the b boys would come out from all over, and we couldn't hang. In the beginning, we
mm,
couldn't hang with them. And so, like I said, we decided to create this street symphony crew, and this is when we started to venture out and try to. We went to New York and we battled, and we started to try to make our name for ourselves in the the greater hip b boy community in the country.
mm.
So
Did you keep how
in
did you
2000, yeah,
eventually
go ahead.
move away from Ohio, or did you stay in Ohio like pretty much the whole way until? Did you move to a different place after that?
Yes, yes. Let's see. It was probably around 2003. 2003.
Mm-hmm.
I actually moved away to Maryland, and
Oh, you went back to
because
Maryland.
my sister, I did, yeah. My sister never moved with us to Ohio. She was older.
Oh.
She's 10 years older than me, so she already had her family and stuff in Maryland. So she always stayed out there. And so when I graduated high school, I went back to Maryland, and I lived
Mm,
with her for a little bit, for a few months, and it kind of didn't work out for me, so I ended up coming back. And when I came back, um, to I came back to the breaking ministry. 'Cause this whole time I was still doing the breaking ministry,
okay.
and there was a guy who came from California to the Bible college, and he was a b boy, and his name was Carlos, and we called him Hurry C. And so
Oh.
yeah, so when I got back from Maryland, he was like, "Yo, where's the b boys? Where's the b boys?" Because he had visited before and we had met. And so he came back to go to school, and he was like, and it was like, "Oh, you just missed him. He had moved to Maryland." So I came back and he was there. And so, we became friends right away. And, we put him into the street symphony crew. And that's when we started to really get better. And I remember Carlos came from California, and he was a footwork fanatic for real. He was really into the footwork aspect. And so he taught me a lot. He made my footwork game come up big time. So I
Mm,
definitely have to give a huge shout out to Perry C. You know what I mean? And the connection we made with the Bible college, and we put him into the crew, and then we started battling and stuff like that. And we went to Florida. We went to freestyle session first. It
okay.
was a freestyle session 2004. It was the Queen Mary. I think it was freestyle session 8, and it was in 2004. It was on the Queen Mary. We went as Street Symphony, and like I said, we entered the prelims and we got smoked. I remember calling, like, we were nobodies, like nobody knew who we were.
Uh,
And but we were just going out there and we tried to do our thing, do our best, do the best we could. And I remember I called out Dizzy in the cipher at freestyle
word.
session. That was the first time I battled somebody who was like well known,
Mm,
and
mm,
he he burnt me. You know what I mean? And he was
yeah.
like, who is this guy? But whatever. I went for it. You know what I mean? Because I respected him. I loved his footwork and everything. So I went for it. I was that young kid trying to, trying to earn my stripes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but I remember at freestyle session on the Queen Mary, there was a crew that had came out that I had never seen before. And
Mm,
mind you, I had always seen cats from Florida, and people like the b boys from Florida always impressed me. because they had the old school flavor, but they brought a new style to the old school flavor. And a lot of Florida b-boys used to come up to Ohio, and they would come to some of the jams and stuff like that. And I was inspired by them. And I remember seeing Unique Styles, and they battled at the freestyle session, and they all had these the old school shirts with the letters on them. And when they came out to battle, they came out with the stance. All of them, like all 10 of them, came out with the stance, like man, still like straight b-boy style, and that was like so impressive. I was like, man, this crew is so fresh. I really inspired by them, and they actually was giving flyers out for this new jam that they was promoting in Florida. So I was like, yo, this jam looks like it's about to be fire. And so it ended up being a first Evolution jam.
Oh wow!
And so we saw the flyer and was like, yo, we got to try to go to this. So it was about 3 or 4 months later. Sure enough, it was the end of 2004. We went down to Evolution. You know, me, her, C, Brooks, Taekwon, and Seth, a few others. And this was like a breakthrough jam for us, because this is when we started to actually make a name and get respected. We made it all the way up to the I want to say it was the quarterfinals in the Evolution jam, and so we made it onto the DVD. You know, I remember the DVD came out like 9 months later after the jam. The DVD came out, and the trailer came out on the bboyworld.com. And they had our clip on there with us doing the routine. And bro, I remember when I seen us on the trailer, like I was jumping around the house, bro. I couldn't contain myself. I was so happy. Like I was like, yo, we made it, you know. That's just the way it was.
But you guys entered a street symphony at that time for Evolution?
Yep, the first Evolution. And I got the DVD and inside my house. If I was inside, I would show it. But that was we entered a street symphony. It was before Zulu King, all that. We was street symphony, and all of our names are on the screen. In the battle, we made it to the quarterfinals, and we made a name for ourselves. When people started to recognize, like, okay, these guys from Ohio was pretty nice. And what made us different, what made us kind of different, was at this time we started to take a liking to Ill-Style Rockers, and what they was telling us before, now it's starting to sink in. When we started to travel outside of Ohio, and the times was changing too, the trends was starting to change, and so we saw people more doing the b-boy style and stuff like that. So we took a liking to, you say, hey, Ill-Style Rockers, they've been rocking this style since the get. You know what I mean? And so we started learning from them. We started to learn how to dance, how to boogie, how to have flavor, b-boy flavor, footwork, and freezes. And so we implemented that into our dance, and we took it to a new level. We brought the funk. We brought a funk into our b-boying, and that was something that was like really different and unique at the time. And so we kind of stood out that way. We had a unique flavor about us. And so I think that's what we started to make noise, and that was the end of 2004, the first Evolution. So
yeah, that moves me nicely actually, because you mentioned a few people in Street Symphony like yourself, Heresy, Taekwon, Busy Brooks. Obviously, all these guys became MZK after that, and that's how I know all these guys. So let's talk about how MZK came about, because now you are making a noise at Evolution. People are starting to recognize you guys. So how did the MZK chapter come with you guys? Like, was it together as a collective, or did you guys get down individually?
I'll tell you what happened. After the Evolution Jam, I ended up, Carlos finished school, and so he went back to Cali. And so when he went back, I ended up going with him for 3 months. I lived with him in Bakersfield. And we trained those all 3 months. We was just training. Footwork, flavor, tops, like all that. Like we went hard for 3 months in Cali. And I came after those 3 months. I came back. This was the beginning of 2005. And then so I lived in Cali from January to about March, early April. And I came back to Ohio, and there was a jam in Ohio. called Ill Breaks, and it was in Champaign, Illinois. It's like a suburb outside of Chicago, and
Mm.
they had this jam called Ill Breaks. And so me, Taekwon, and Dedicate, Seth, us three, we went to Ill Breaks. We entered the jam, and Alien Ness was one of the judges.
Oh, okay.
And uh, yeah, and he had a workshop. And I remember a few weeks before the jam, Taekwon had told me about the jam. He said, "Yo, Alien Ness is gonna be there," and I was like, "Who's
Mm.
Alien Ness?" Like I didn't even know. I didn't know who he was. And then he's like, "Whoa, you never heard of Alien S?" And I said, "Nah." You know, and he sent me a little clip. I think of like the blueprint. He sent me a
Oh,
little
sick.
clip of it, and I seen Alien S, and I was like, "Wow, he's official. Like this dude
Yeah.
is really official. He's nasty, OG for real." And so I was like, "That's cool. You know, I want to go and meet him and stuff like that." So we went. We took the workshop that he did the day before, and he taught us a hook drill. And you know, that hook drill was so like it was so like pivotal for me because like that hook drill really enhanced my footwork to a new level. And
Mm.
we actually made a routine that night from the hook drill that he taught us,
Oh,
and we put
shit.
it into the battle, and we won the battle with that routine. And so we
Wow.
actually, we us three, we entered the gym, and you know this time, you know we battled Chicago in the finals, and we won.
Wow.
And so we took them. And so, you know, like I said, we was already starting to level up, and we're already starting to take, you know, the greater Midwest, you know,
Mm.
scene. You know, we're starting to take those battles now. So yeah, like I said, it was we beat Chicago in the finals, and Ness comes up to us right away. He said, "Yo, Street Symphony Zulu Kings in full effect." He said just like that. Yeah. And so you know, from that day, you know, he put us down for Zulu Kings in the
Mm.
Midwest. Well, it was me, Dedicate, and Taekwon. And but also at the same time, like I said, I was like, yeah, that's dope. I'm down. But it's like, what's a Zulu King?
Yeah.
And no, I had no idea what a Zulu King was. You know, I didn't
Mm.
know what the Zulu Nation was. I had
Mm.
heard about it, but I had no idea actually what it was. So
Mm.
after getting down with it, I did a little bit of research, and you know, because you got to understand, Zulu Kings, and this is where I can go into a little bit of the history of the Zulu Kings.
Mm. Mm.
You know, I started to learn that you know Zulu Kings, the original Zulu Kings was one of the first b-boy crews
Yeah.
when breaking was first starting to emerge. You know, in the mid '70s, and you know, um, the Zulu Kings came before the Zulu Nation.
Word.
You know, and before there was the Zulu Nation, there was the Zulu Kings, and they were a b-boy crew.
Mm.
So you know, we always identified with the original Zulu Kings and not with the Zulu Nation, since the Zulu Kings was before the Zulu Nation.
Ah.
So we never really considered ourselves part of the official chapter of the Zulu Nation. You know, we were always a separate entity because you know the original Zulu Kings was predate the Zulu Nation, and so
Who were some of the guys that was already kind of running the original Zulu Kings before the Zulu Nation? Kind of who were some of the people that was like kind of, I don't know, leading the Zulu Kings at that time?
yeah, there was I want to say it was they were called the original 11. I want to say it
Mm.
was called the original 11, and you know it was Powwow, Ahmed, Scorpy. Um, there's a number of guys. A lot of them have like African names,
Mm.
and so I don't remember. I don't off the top know the original guys' names, but Charlie Rock was the original Zulu King,
Yeah.
and and you know he would be the best go-to guy for you know I go to him all the time when I want to get
Yeah.
information about you know the original Zulu Kings and what they were like, how did they dance, what was the styles like, any type of history that I have, you know, You know, I
Mm-hmm.
will, I always go to Charlie Rock. You know, so shout outs to Charlie Rock. He's really the connect, you know, for us when it comes to the history of the original Zulu Kings and everything like that. So, but yeah, as far as the original names, there was, I think it was, I want to say the original 11,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was originally like 5 or 6, and then in order to get Daddle and beat one of them, and
Ah.
so it became like 11, and after that there was no more, and then they had the baby Zulu Kings, and
Mm.
those were the guys like Little Boy Keith, Beaver, and I think Cisco maybe.
Mm.
They were the guys who took the next level, you know, breaking to the next level, and really added a lot of you know, dynamic spins and a lot of intricate footwork and different things like that.
I mean, like a lot of the people
And
that.
that shit right there, they inspired a lot of the Latino b boys
Yes.
like Batch and all those guys.
I wanted to ask because I guess a lot of the general narrative about Zulu Kings is I mean, a lot of people say that the Zulu Nation was formed and then Bambaataa made this b-boy crew and then named it Zulu King. So do you think that narrative is actually not specifically correct because it should be predating Zulu Nation, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, the Zulu Kings was before the Zulu Nation. Originally, it was the organization first, and
Mm-hmm.
then the Zulu Kings got formed for a talent show, and
Mm.
there was all b-boys because the original style was burning. It was called burning, and so you know, breaking was starting to develop in its early stages. Um, and so Zulu Kings, they were part of the first people who really pushed breaking, you know, to the ground and really
Mm.
extended a
Mm.
lot of the floor moves, you know, in long periods of time.
Yeah.
And so from there, the baby Zulu Kings came and they really like detailed a lot of footwork moves and different foundational moves that the Puerto Rican b-boys picked up on.
Mm. So do you think it's right to say that kind of Bambaataa, after Zulu Nation was formed, just claimed Zulu Kings as part of the Zulu Nation b-boy crew when actually Zulu Nation as a Zulu Kings crew was already there. So actually, like Bambaataa claimed it to be the Zulu Nation's first b-boy crew when actually, in fact, the b-boy crew part of Zulu Kings was already there before Zulu Nation was formed.
Yeah, yeah. It's not that Zulu Kings was the first b-boy crew in the Zulu Nation.
Mm.
It's that Zulu Kings was the first b-boy crew
Mm.
in the world. Like they was
That
the
period.
first entity group
Mm. Mm.
of b-boys that had a name. Because
Mm.
before that, it was just individual b-boys. You know,
Yeah.
you had the Herc, you know, the Amazing Bobo, and you know, the Dancing Dog, and you know, the Twins, and the,
Yeah.
you know, Clark Kent, and all these guys. So they were just individuals. But when the Zulu Kings came out, they it was a group, and they formed to do a talent show. And
Mm.
so you know, and then from there was other Zulu crews came out after the Zulu Kings.
Mm.
Like the Zulu, there was the Shaka Zulus, there was the Zulu Queens. So
Yeah.
you had different b-boy crews in um under the organization, you know, and they were affiliated with the organization, and that's why the Zulu Nation came about, because it was the
Ah.
Zulu Nation, because it was multiple crews of b-boys
Mm.
in the Zulu in the with the name Zulu.
Mm.
So, but later on, the original Zulu Kings and the baby Zulu Kings faded out, and
Mm.
you know, it was not till the '80s till Rocksteady Crew came out, and they became popular. That after Bambaataa, he kind of like honorarily gave the Zulu King name to the Rocksteady Crew, since they were the hottest crew at the time. And so
Mm.
when they used to do the tours and go across the world, they spread hip hop all over the world. You know, the Rocksteady crew was also representing that legacy and that lineage of the Zulu Kings.
All right, bro.
So,
Yo,
and a lot of those guys still hold that name as like a badge of honor. The Zulu Kings, like Wiggles and like Fable and you know different people. So
all right.
that was like the second wave of the Zulu Kings was actually the Rocksteady crew in the 80s. But that started to fade out, and what happened was Alien Ness was originally part of his first cruise, and then he got down with New York City Breakers, and then Rocksteady
Yo, Vic,
crew.
Vic, Vic. Yeah, so I actually there was a few questions I wanted to ask. So you mentioned like
Yes, sir.
Zulu Kings came like before Zulu Nation, right? But how come the name Zulu was so like mentioned in hip hop? Like where did that come from? Like why did people start using the word Zulu? Like where did that come
I believe they came from Afro Bambaataa because
from?
he had gone to he went to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he had won a trip somehow. I'm not sure the details of the story, but for some reason he had gone to Africa, and he came back and he was inspired. And so he was from the Bronx River, and they were baby spades from the
Mm,
chapter from the Black Spades. Um, not not sure quite what division, but like I said, Charlie Rock can, he could tell you what
mm,
division like that. But from what I understand, a lot of the guys from Bronx River, like Afro Mbata, they were baby spades, and they started the Zulu Kings, and so I think the name comes from Afro Mbata.
mm.
After going to the Zulu, he went to the Zulu tribe, and he was inspired from them, and that's where the inspiration for the name came from.
Dope, man. And then you mentioned, of course, like in the '80s when Rocksteady kind of like honorarily rapping the name Zulu, and then it's what we kind of known as the second wave after the original 11. Now it's the second wave. So like you were mentioning that Alien Ness was also, is it part of the involvement of the second wave?
No, he was not down with the Rocksteady crew in the 80s. He got down with Rocksteady in the 90s.
Okay.
And so by the 90s, only few of them really maintained that the badge of honor of the Zulu Kings, but as a
Mm,
whole, they did not rep that name.
mm,
And so, but what happened was, since Ness is from Bronx River and he was very close to Afro Bambaataa,
mm-hmm,
Ness had gone to conflict with Crazy Legs and ended up, getting kicked out of Rocksteady. And so, as I understand it, Ness was feeling down, and he was, disappointed in the
mm,
fact that he got kicked out of the Zulu Kings, and he was talking to, sorry, Rocksteady crew.
mm-hmm,
He was feeling a little bit, disappointed about that, and Afro Bambaataa had mentioned to him, gave him the opportunity, hey, why don't you start, you can resurrect the Zulu Kings and make
mm,
that your crew, and you can be the president, and you can go all over the world and recruit the best b-boys from around the world, and that can
mm.
be the resurrection of the legacy for the
Dope,
Zulu Kings. And so
dope.
that's what Ness did. He started in the Bronx, and the first person he put down was Cream Monk, and that was his first vice president.
Mm-hmm,
And from there, he put down the Ready to Rock crew as a whole, and Ready to Rock was the first crew that he put down, and this was in the year 2000.
wow.
And so he went to Texas. He put down the whole Jive Turkeys crew. He went to California, put down the whole flavors. Was it Flex Flav
Mm,
squad? And so and that's the way he ran. He went and he traveled around and he would put whole squads down.
mm,
But the
mm,
problem with that was that all these crews that he put down, they were already part of their own crews.
Yeah, true, true, true.
So they didn't really take it seriously. It was more like a badge of honor, almost the way that Rocksteady crew wore it. They
Yeah.
kind of wore, Jive Turkey Zulu Kings too, like,
Mm,
as a badge of honor, but not
mm-hmm.
as a real serious b-boy crew.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
was a
yeah.
distinction. That's a distinction that was made from the difference between the original resurrection of the Mighty Zulu Kings. So we they all we also created the Mighty
Mm,
and put the Z on the Mighty Zulu Kings
yeah.
to distinguish us from the chapter leaders of the Zulu Nation chapters, who are also called Zulu Kings.
Word.
So that's why we changed it for our resurrection era,
Mm-hmm.
the Mighty Zulu Kings.
Yeah.
And so, all these crews like Radio Rock and Flex Slave, they kind of wore the badge of honor in the way that Rocksteady crew wore it, but they first, allegiance was always to their first crew.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why you never really heard about the Zulu Kings, even when they started in 2000. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I got down, when Ness came up to us, say, "Yo, y'all are Street Symphony Zulu Kings," we didn't. I was like, "What's a Zulu King?"
Yeah.
I really didn't know. I had no idea. And so, after doing a little bit of history and finding out, a little bit about what it was and everything like
Mm,
that, we decided, and it was really, I gotta give a lot of props to Taekwon, because
mm.
Taekwon really saw the vision. He saw the vision from the get. He saw the potential in the
Word.
Zulu Kings, and he came up to us. It's like, hey, we need to take this serious. Let's start entering battles with the name Zulu Kings, and let's really go
Mm,
hard and rep that to the fullest, because this is
mm,
important. And like I said, he saw the vision. He had the vision from jump, and
mm-hmm.
so we did that. First battle we did was Scribble Jam. So
Mm-hmm.
we went back to Scribble Jam that year. It was 2005, and the battle's online if you want to check it out.
Mm-mm.
Um, we I think we battled Chicago, and we entered as Zulu Street Symphony Zulu Kings,
Ah,
and
okay.
that's how we entered the battle. And that was the first time we went with that name. And when we made noise, we didn't take Chicago out that time, but we made a ton of noise, and like we got the respect from everybody. And like I
Mm,
said, we came with a different flavor. We had original b-boy style and funk in our dance, and that was unusual at the time. So,
word.
like I said, we were starting to level up, and the next jam after that was that we went to was the next year, the Evolution 2.
Mm,
So Evolution 2 at 2005, um, that's when Zulu Kings entered our first battle as just Zulu Kings. That
ah,
was the first time um, Zulu Kings, and it was like I said, Taekwon had the vision, he had the idea, and said, "Hey, let's go to Evolution, a big jam, and let's
mm,
enter as Zulu Kings as a crew." And that's what we did. And Alien S was there, and he I think he was the judge, but he introduced us to Phantom. He introduced us to Poe One, to Machine, to Cream, at Evolution 2 in 2005, and that's where we met all those guys. Even Jules, we met Jules, even though he wasn't down yet, but he was
mm-hmm.
there. And we just, you know, we entered. We had a connection. Our vibe was tight, and we killed it. We killed it. We made, we were like, we made a lot of noise at that jam. And that the DVD is out. You could see us battling on there with
Mm-hmm.
Queen and Phantom, and it was just like, it was something different. It was totally different when everybody else was doing. We had our own vibe. We had our own style, and we were funky. We had the essence, and that was our style. And we had this
Mm,
name that had a lot of history to it. So,
word, word, word.
like I said, that was the first time I met Phantom, and we got along, right away, because he has already been learning from Seven Gems, the rock,
Mm-mm.
which nobody was rocking at the time.
Mm,
Like, I was blessed enough that I got to see a little bit of the rock from Ill Style Rockers,
yeah.
But other than that, nobody in the scene was rocking. And Phantom came. When I met Phantom at Evolution, and he was already dancing with Seven Gems. He was already Seven Gem, and
Mm,
so he was already nice with the rock. I was dabbling at the time because, like I said, I had already met, you know, Ill Style Rockers for many years, and I was already starting. It was starting to sink in what they were
mm, mm,
doing. And
mm.
so when I saw Phantom, it was like a connection right away. Like I already understood what he was doing,
Word.
and that's why we connected right away. And
Mm.
so, that was the first time, you know, Zulu Kings entered as a Zulu Kings as a crew in a international jam.
Did you feel like that moment or that evolution too was the time when you guys feel like MZK is more like instead of just being a badge of honor behind your original crew name, that became more like something to be really proud of, to just be Zulu King and to really push that legacy name as a different kind of energy after that.
I remember, I was just I was in awe because, I'm battling with these guys who are the
Mm.
best in the world, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I felt so privileged. Like, how did I get here? I went from being nobody, you know what I mean, just kind of starting to make a name for ourselves. Like literally, like I said, when we did that Evolution One, I mean,
Mm.
we were nobodies. And and I saw us on the trailer, and I'm jumping around the house. I was so excited because, like, we made it. You know what I mean? And then the
Yeah.
very next year, I'm battling with some of the top b-boys in the world, on like battling side by side with them.
Mm, mm, mm,
And
mm.
I'm like, whoa. I was like so. I felt so privileged. Like, I was in total shock, to be honest with you. I was like, how did I get here? How did this happen? But mind you, at the same time, 2005, I had already been breaking, since 97,
Mm.
so that's a good, 8 years,
Yeah.
I was already breaking. So it wasn't that I was a newbie, but I just wasn't known. Nobody knew me because, we were from Ohio,
Mm.
and we were just starting to make a name for ourselves. And we went from nobodies to dancing aside from the best in the world. And we're talking about Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Phantom was like us in the sense that nobody knew who Phantom was. We didn't know who Phantom was. He never came out on no big videos, no
Mm,
jams.
mm.
He was just a local New York led. He was a New York, heavy hitter, of course, for the New York. But if you didn't go to New York, you didn't know who Phantom was at the time.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool too, because he was his first time on the big, in the big stage, in the big international jam. So nobody
Mm.
had knew who he was either. So we were like these new faces, for the scene by and large, and we did our thing. And, we made a huge impact. So it was really dope. It was really dope. But like I said, Machine had a big name. Hole One had a big name.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know what I
sure.
mean? Casper had a big name already. And so like these was like our crew members that, Ness had introduced, like, hey, this is your crew. Like, oh
That's
snap.
crazy.
Okay, sweet, let's do it, And so our connection was
But
on
but, but
point
uh,
right from the jump.
you mentioned it's crazy. Obviously, you're in all. You're battling with some of the best b-boys in the world. Like, were you also feeling under pressure also though because of the amount of like I guess responsibility or the name of Zulu Kings on your shoulder? Did you ever feel pressure like being in that kind of situation? Like suddenly from a local crew now you are thrust upon a worldwide legacy crew. Like was there any kind of pressure on you at that time
Oh
to
yeah.
perform? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, anytime I'm doing a battle, there's always pressure.
Hmm.
I'm always
I can't.
pressure.
I
I'm
can.
always
I can never
battling
tell. I can't.
nervousness.
I can. I can never tell that you're nervous. Like that's the way I see you break or rock.
Oh
I'm like, this guy
man,
don't get
bro.
nervous, man. He's like smiling, burning you. Like, when this guy get
No,
nervous.
bro. I'm a train wreck, bro. Talking about the butterflies in the stomach, bro, the nervousness. I mean, just chilling with Ness in the hotel room,
Mm.
before the jam. I'm like nervous, bro. I'm like, I'm just nervous. I'm like, these guys, all these guys, Pro One is here, and like, I'm just like, I'm standing around celebrities.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And so, of course, man, of course, bro. But like I said, dancing is my passion. And once that music hits, bro, it's just like I go into dance mode, and that's all I think about. That's all I know at that moment. So then
Mm,
that's how I've been. Always how I've been. I could never be a rapper because I'm too shy and nervous to
yeah.
speak in public, like on the mic. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I couldn't be, I didn't have the technical skills to be a DJ. I couldn't draw. But when it comes to dancing, it's just natural, bro. It's like
Word.
everything shuts off and I'm in the zone and all I know is the music and me and it just feels natural. So it's the same way, yeah, of course, meeting these guys, I feel like a ant, standing amongst giants. But, I go out there and I just do my thing. And that's the only thing I know how
Mm.
to do.
So
So,
that's how I feel when I stand next to you and like the other guys now. Like that's crazy. But I wanted to ask. I mean, Zulu Kings obviously later on you are known as one of the OG 13, which is like a huge historic moment in the Zulu King history, right? So tell me about that experience and how how it went down. Like I mean, everyone talks about the legendary battle against gamblers and that event, how you guys become OG 13. But I've never actually spoken to someone in detail about being there and creating history like that. So how did you feel about that particular chapter?
yeah, so like I said, the evolution too,
Mm,
that was a huge shift for us. We made a name for ourselves instantly in the scene, and that was just the beginning. You know,
mm-hmm,
we we started we started recruiting. We brought we went to Rocksteady Crew anniversary the very next year, and that
mm-hmm,
was '06. So the very next year after Evolution 2, we went to was the 29th anniversary, and it was in July of '06.
mm,
And we entered the Zulu Kings, and it was me and Phantom and Ty and Hurry C and all of us. And that was the year. That was the jam that Quick and Jules battled. We battled them into the Zulu Kings. So we were starting to choose not just whole crews anymore. And that was the other thing. Uh, After that, Ness kicked out everybody in the Zulu Kings that was not really repping the crew. Like you would take one or two of the main people of
mm,
like Jive Turkeys, Flake Slave, like one or two of the guys that were really into it and repping, and
yeah.
everybody else was kicked out. And from that point on, he didn't recruit that way. We
Mm,
recruited people specifically who vibed with our vibe, and so
word.
that's how we got down from there on out. And that's how we
Mm,
started to build our crew, Zulu Kings, from the ground up all over again. And
mm,
so some of the first purple people we put down was Jules. We had been vibing with him, and Quick, and we battled them in '06 in the Rock City Crew anniversary. I think we battled uh, Ghost Crew, and it was an
ah,
amazing battle. It was a fire battle. I mean, we brought the funk, bro. I mean, we were like on fire. We were on fire, bro. And that battle's online. You can check it out somewhere. You can find it. But so, so an interesting story. You were asking me about coming to New York, and because
mm,
a lot of people think I'm from New York too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But actually, what happened was when I went to the Rock City Crew anniversary, I actually had gotten a phone call from my mom while I was in New York
Mm-hmm,
at the in during the jam, and she said, "Hey, I got evicted from my house. I didn't pay the rent."
mm,
And so now we have to leave. She didn't tell me that she didn't have the money. She never told me. And so she ended up getting evicted from the apartment. And so she says, when you come back from your trip, you have to find somewhere to stay. Stay with a friend for
wow,
something.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So when it ended up happening, I said, you know what? Fine, I'm staying here in New York. 'Cause I don't have nowhere to go in
Yeah.
Ohio. I'm just gonna stay here. And
Uh,
so that's what I did. I stayed at Phantom, and when Phantom was living with Connie at the time, and they
mm,
were living in Queens, and I stayed with them for a few weeks, and then from there I went. Flex was living in Queens also at the time, and I lived with Flex for a couple weeks until finally I called one of my aunts who lives out in Jersey, right outside the city, and she said, come on through. They came pick me up, and I
Mm.
ended up staying with her for about 8 to 9 months. So I went to Rock City and Crew Anniversary, and then I ended up living out there for a year.
Wow.
Hmm.
So it wasn't even a planned thing. It was just kind of like that moment just happened, and you just happened to have to be in New York for a period of time.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, my family and everything's already out there, so
Mm.
it was nothing for me to just stay out there. So that's what I did, and I was living with my aunt, and I was working with my uncle, and it was cool, and I got the experience, and that's where I got connected with the scene in New York and everything like that. I started going to McCarran Park, and meeting King Up Rock and Break Easy, and everything like that. And
So
so,
was this a time that rocking kind of also kind of come in because of that? Because you were staying in New York, was that the time when you mentioned King Up Rock, Breakeasy? Is that also when the rocking become more and more involved into your life as well?
yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, from the time I met Phantom Evolution, too, like I had already been dabbling in it,
Mm.
but meeting Phantom really ignited something new, because it's like, hey, this is someone else who's my age
Yeah.
who was also doing it, so it's like that inspired me. So, I was working on it, and then going to New York, and then, meeting King Up Rock and all these people, it's like I got more into it. And so that was 2006 is when I
Mm.
really started to get heavy into the rock, for sure.
Crazy,
And
crazy.
so, yep. And so fast forward, there was a jam. Oh, well, another thing that happened too while I lived in that time, I got down with Ready to Rock.
Word.
So that's when I actually got down with Ready to Rock, and like Phantom, I was chilling with Phantom the whole time, and he was introducing me to everybody, and Taekwon had already gotten down first.
Mm-hmm.
He had got down, and then a few months later, Connie and Phantom came to me one day, and they said they had a jersey for me, and they said, "Hey, we want you to rap." I was like, they gave me the jersey, and I was like, "Okay, cool." So I was like, I never asked to be down. I wasn't, we were already Zulu Kings. So we already felt
Mm-hmm.
like we was crew. So it wasn't really a necessary thing. But, living in New York at the time with them, and, got to meeting a lot of other Ready Rock members. And, Connie was really trying to make a comeback for the Ready to Rock.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the original Ready Rock members, they had stopped already. So, Phantom and Connie and Aztec, they were pretty much the only ones that were still repping. So they
Mm.
were kind of looking for new members to try to bring back the Ready to Rock. So that's when they put me down in 2006.
Do you have any photos of the time you were in New York to share? Because I'm sure
Yeah,
people would love to see that infamous jersey. That the first time I met you, you also had that jersey on. It was at the TBB anniversary, I think
yeah, yeah.
2010, and then there was like an after party at this grimy basement, and I think it was myself and Tino Rob, and then for some reason the cipher became like a free on free. It was like me, Tino, you, and Phantom, and then I think one other dude. I think his name is Steph or something, a tall dude.
Uh huh.
And I think he jumped in, and it became kind of like a out of town b boys versus Ready to Rock in New York, and then it got kind of heated. I just remember getting smoked by you. That's what I remember. And I remember you
That's
had that
awesome.
jersey on, and then we took a photo outside, and you had the jersey on, and that was kind of my first time seeing live like Ready to Rock. Like that's why that this jersey for me is
Hmm.
it's an iconic kind of like uniform for like b boys at that time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this was like I said, after I lived in New York for about a year. And then after that, I ended up moving to Florida with Jules,
Oh,
and
okay.
that was the summer. I mean, that was the winter of 2007. And so
Oh,
this
okay.
was this was actually a jam in Ohio, and this was a jam that I had transitioned, like I was moving. I was actually
Mm.
moving in this trip. I was on my way to Florida, and
Ah.
but yeah, this was the Ready to Rock crew, you know, in '06. You know, this was it. Everybody else, like the earlier members and stuff like that, they were pretty much all inactive. And so, you know, this was Radio Rock crew, like
So that's
the resurrection of the Radio Rock crew, you could say almost.
so this is the Phantom here, Connie, Taekwon, yourself, and the last person is
That's
like who?
Aztec, Poison Dragon.
Aztec. Nice, nice. So this is the
Yeah,
time when you
Aztec.
got put down. You got put down to Ready to Rock at this time.
Yep, this was 2006, going
And to
into
and to, clar- and
2007.
to I mean to clarify to a lot of the newer generation, a lot of them, I guess, because of the name RTR, Ready to Rock, a lot of them maybe think that Ready to Rock is a rocking crew. But were you guys more of a breaking crew at the beginning, or what was the story behind Ready to Rock at the beginning?
Yeah, so Radio Rock is the Bronx b-boy crew from 1982. It started in '82, and real quick, I'll show you a picture here. Now, this was the original Radio Rock crew.
Wow, that's a
Um,
dope photo.
Yep, from '82, and it was started by a guy named Fantasy Fast, who was
Ah,
actually one of Ness's first teachers.
wow.
And there's a clip of him online. He almost has like a Daffy Duck style. It's
Uh huh.
very sporadic, very funky style. And that's Fantasy Fast and a video. And the video's the
Mm.
guy in the middle. And
The guy is the guy in the hoodie. The guy in the hoodie.
yeah, the guy in the hoodie. That's a video.
Sick.
Yeah, and so that's the original Radio Rock crew, and they were a b-boy crew, Bronx crews through and through. And they video's parents were they used to run a shop, and they had a basement called the Boys and I think it was called the I want to say Boys and Girls Club or something like that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
no, Mom and Pops. Sorry, Mom and Pops. That's what it was called, Mom and Pops. And that is a legendary venue for the early b-boys in the '70s and '80s. And
Who were some of who were the people in this photo like that we're looking at apart from video?
you know, I can't really tell you their names.
Mhm.
I can't. The guy in the blue, the fat
Mm.
lace and stuff. His name escapes me right now. I can't think of his name. But
You
he
look
was
so
pretty
fresh
much,
though. You look
yeah,
so
yeah.
fresh.
He's still around. He, you know, he was Video's partner,
Nice.
and so the rest of the people, I can't tell you their names off top.
Mm-mm.
But let me see. I think let me see. Hold on one second. So all right. So let me tell you a little bit about Radio Rock. So they started in '82,
Mhm.
and pretty much faded out. And there was Bomb 5
Mm.
was not a Radio Rock member, but he
Oh,
actually used to hang out with the Radio Rock, the original Radio Rock from '82. And so here's another picture of this video, the
nice.
original Radio Rock. And so yeah, what happened was Bomb 5 was a writer. He is a graffiti writer,
Yeah.
and he used to graffiti write. He used to write with a lot of younger kids in the Bronx, and all the way to the '90s. So in the early '90s, um, he was writing with a bunch of kids that they started to break,
Mm.
and Video took the name. I'm sorry, Bomb 5 took the name Ready to Rock, even though he wasn't a part of Ready Rock, but he was affiliated with them,
Mhm.
and he blessed these young kids that were writing graffiti with him, and he said, "You guys are starting to break. I'm going to give you the name Ready to Rock. That's going to be your b-boy crew."
Ah.
So let's see if I can find this picture. Let's see here.
So Bonfire will be the one that is the one kind of like name you guys Ready to Rock at the beginning.
This was the original Radio Rock crew from the '90s. So this
Ah,
is
wow.
the, you could say, the second wave
Mhm.
of Ready to Rock. In Bomb 5, like I said, he was not an original Radio Rock member, but he was familiar with them. He used to hang out with them, and
Mhm.
so he passed the name on to these kids who used to
Ah.
do graffiti with him. And
Mm.
you can see is Has, Warren, Fees, Smirk, EKS, and Nerve.
Mm. But these guys are
So
not all b-boys, right? They were writers at first. These
they
guys
were
were mainly
writers
writers.
who turned b-boys.
Ah, nice. I mean, Smirk, of
Hmm.
course. Smirk obviously make a big name for himself later on as well as a b-boy.
Yeah, Smirk was the only guy. I think the original, all these guys. This was the original second wave of Ready to Rock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So everyone else pretty much faded out within a few years, and
Yeah.
Smirk was the only one who kept breaking.
Word.
So he he eventually started getting down with other people, and the other people came into the picture, and let me see if I can find another picture here. So,
So you pretty much got put down to MZK and Res Rock in quick succession, almost like 2005, and then the year after, sort of like it happened, kind of like in succession, like MZK and then Ready to Rock for you.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Ready to Rock was already put down as MZK, right? You mentioned that Ness kind of put them down as one of the first crew that got put down to Zulu Kings at the beginning.
Yeah. They were down, and I think they entered a one jam as Ready to Rock Zulu Kings. And but after that, like I said, just like everybody else, they never really repped it because the Ready to Rock was their full. It was their their loyalty was always to Ready to Rock.
Yeah.
So this was like the late '90s, and so Smirk. This was the guys that Smirk had put down later on
Yeah.
after that first second wave.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Aztec, Dom, Phantom, that's He's, and Has, and on the bottom is that's Wiz, and of course Ken Swift.
Word.
They were taking a picture with them because since they were from the Bronx, they got down with Ken Swift a lot, and so that's how I met Ken Swift. And so these are the guys that I met when I went to New York. And, Phantom introduced me to Ready to Rock. For the most part, I met He's is the guy all the way to the right. And, I met him one time and I seen him get down. And, from what I understand, he was one of the guys who really influenced Phantom and his footwork style. So a lot of the things that you see Phantom do is really influenced by Has. And so he was really a footwork mastermind. He was faster than if you can imagine faster than Phantom.
How is that possible?
He was faster than Phantom.
That's crazy.
Yep.
When you got put down with Ready to Rock, like pretty much after MZK, like how was it for you to kind of like take into account the fact that you are just only been in MZK for a year, and then the next minute now you're Ready to Rock? Like, how did that play for you as an individual? Like being suddenly part of two very well-known crew, super dope crews. Like, how was that for you?
Well, it made sense because, like I said, Phantom and Connie were looking to, bring back the Ready to Rock. And so, I was the one who was rolling with them at the time through MZK. Because of MZK, I was, side by side with Phantom at the jams in New York, and I was in New York with him. So it only made sense, that they would make me Ready to Rock, and to bring they wanted to bring that name back. So it only made sense to put me down with them. So like I said, it made sense, and we're both into rocking.
Yeah.
So that was another connection that we had. So and Taekwon, when he would come and visit, and he was also into rocking. So, us three, and mind you, at that time, Nobody our age was rocking.
Oh, okay.
On the world, like very few people, like probably a handful of people in the world that
Wow.
was rocking, that was our age.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So we had that connection. We already had you know, that type of connection. So it just kind of made sense that we would be in the crew. And so I looked at it like a local, you know, Radio Rock was a local crew, you know, and Zulu Kings was kind of a conglomerate, you know, and so like, you know, I felt honored. Of course, I felt honored that Fanta would, you know, want me to be a part of his original local crew, you know, and I'm
Mm.
living in New York at the time, and so I felt like that was going to be my crew, you know, while you know when I'm in New York, you know, I'm ready to rock.
Yeah.
So you know, and
Was there any conflict for you in terms of like prioritizing which crew when you want to go to an event? Like, did that ever come into your mind? Like, okay, this jam I must represent MZK, or that one I must represent RTR. Like, was there any kind of thing like that for you?
no, no, because you know, Ness always put everybody was from you know their own local crews.
Mm,
You
mm, mm,
know, Omar was Jive Turkeys, and you know, Casper was you know Boogie Brats,
mm,
and you
mm.
know, so everybody was a part of their own local crews, and that was never a conflict. You know, there was never a conflict with that. Everybody always understood. Like we were a tight knit group. We were like you could kind of say like almost like a super crew. You know,
Mm.
we were almost like when we were like one of the first, you know, like Voltron. You know, we formed like Voltron because we were all from these little groups, and
Yeah,
we
yeah,
all
yeah.
come together. But we came together in such a connection that we were definitely a crew, though. We were a
Mm.
family. You know, we had our own style. We all vibed on the same level. We were all on the same wavelength when it comes to the dance and the
Word.
essence and the b-boying and all that. So it just made sense.
Perfect. All right.
So
So
then the other thing was, yeah.
no, no, you keep going. Because I have 2 more minutes. So if maybe if you want to like carry on the next part, maybe.
Yeah, so this will go right into so the other thing about that was we since we were into the rock, we brought the rock style to the b-boy scene and to MZK.
Yes.
And so this was another thing that really made us stand out from the rest of the b-boy community as MZK
Mm.
because of our rocking and especially the Ready to Rock members in MZK, we created these rock routines that really set us apart and
Word.
gave us a different flavor and a different look from the rest of the b-boy crew. We introduced the rock style into the b-boy scene, which nobody had ever done at that point.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
that's what's
that's
leading
dope.
us to the session, how we won a freestyle session.
Perfect.
Sorry, this is going like way over time. There's so much I want to. It's going crazy. I'm sorry, man.
It's awesome though. Thank you so
Hopefully,
much,
this,
man, for the
let me see.
opportunity, man, to go into detail.
Yeah, let's see if this last 40 minutes could be the last one, but who knows, man. Yeah, you were actually saying like how you were bringing the rocking style into the whole breaking game, right? You guys kind of changed the game in that respect. So from that leading on to of course freestyle session. So because I think one of the things that I noticed the most in freestyle session is how you guys had your unique way of breaking, especially the guys from Ready to Rock. So how did you guys going into freestyle session with this, like were you guys thinking of taking the win? Like, what was going through your mind going into freestyle session as my Zulu Kings?
Yeah, so like basically, you know, I remember being on the plane and you know flying to LA, and I had no idea. I had no idea what we were. That you know, I really I didn't think that we were gonna win. You know what I mean? Like I really didn't. But when we got there and the day before, I mean, just meeting up with Smurf and with Katsu and Omar, and it's just like we started vibing so crazy right away that we started making up all these routines. Like, man, bro, it's like we had been practicing for years, and it's just the connection was so strong that it's just like it all just came together. And I really feel like Ness is a mastermind
Word.
because you know he just kind of picked all of us out and put us together, and it's just like and he really was the mastermind in knowing how to pick the right people to bring the right vibe, and then that's exactly what happened, bro. We just like I said, we joined up like Voltron, you know, and we started making these routines, and we were just so powerful and dynamic, and our style was just dynamic, bro. And so, well, really, another thing that also stood us out was the patches, you know, and
Word.
that was the first time that we came out with the 3-piece patch,
Yeah.
you know, and something different. Nobody had done it before, and Ness had got the idea to do it because of the Zulu Kings coming from the lineage of the Black Spades. So we wanted to give honor, you know, to that, and we got the inspiration from them, and we wanted to do it in a b-boy context. And everybody said, a lot of OGs were saying, no, don't do that, because you know you're messing with, dangerous territory, so to
Yeah.
speak. And so we, but Ness is just the type of person. If you tell him don't do something, you're just gonna make him want him to do it more. So that's how he is. And so we did put parameters. We made rules with our patches. You know what I mean? We had protocol. You know, we weren't allowed to wear our patches out in different places and different things like that. We had a lot of rules. So, you know, we were very safe, and we wore them at b-boy jams, you know what I mean, and things like that. So, um, but the style of it, was unseen before that. Nobody had done it. Casper's mom was the first help person. She helped us sew our patches on that weekend. And so, Mel jumped on the squad with us last minute with his patches, and it just, that, and like you said, with the rocking, you know, we were coming up with routines the day before, and Phantom and I and Jules and Taekwon and everybody, we threw the rocking routines in there because that's what we were already doing. We were already into the rock, so we ended up putting that in there, and that was it was something fresh, unique, and different. And so here's the list of the original 13.
Word.
And these are the original 13 that battled at Freestyle Session with the patches, and we were the first people to bring the patches to the game.
Yes, sir.
We brought the 3-piece patch to the game, and we were the first people to wear the Zulu Kings patch. And so it's Alien S, Taekwon, K-Mel, Floor Phantom, Casper, VIX, Busy Brooks, Po One, Smurf, Omar, Drop Jules, Harisi, and Katsu.
Sick. Was that the first time also you were meeting like MZK members, now worldwide members now, with Katsu come through from Japan, and that's when you kind of like first time meeting it, MZK has gone into a global scene, global stage now.
Yes, because Ness had already been traveling overseas. And so, he already had people in mind that he was thinking about. It's like, yo, but he knew he wasn't no longer, but he had the sole, authority to put one person down. Now that we were a tight unit, there wasn't a lot of us anymore like it was before. It was a tight unit. So he would mention it to us, and it was really up to all of us, to say yes or no to anybody that he felt that should be down from overseas or anywhere else. So, and I'll give you a prime example. Born actually got down with us at that day at Freestyle Session.
Oh, wow.
And he got down with us, and it's just a funny story. He was blowing up as a b-boy at that time, and Ness came to us. He said, yo, Born is on fire right now. He's like, yo, I think y'all should let him rock with you. I think y'all should put him down with the squad. And it's so funny. And we all looked at each other, and we was like, Born? We was like, nah, we're straight. We're good. Born's kind of like, he's whack. You know what I mean? He's whack. Like, we better than Born. We don't want Born.
Yeah.
And that's that was our first reaction. When Ness had mentioned it to us, and Born was, and Ness was just like, yo, I'm telling y'all, I'm telling you, like, you got to give Born a shot, give him a chance, because he's dope.
Mm.
And 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 so we were like, we'll see, we'll see, we'll fill him out, I guess.
Mm.
And so we went to this party. We went to this party on the first night, and Born was there, and it's such a funny story. Born, we had heard that Born was there,
Oh,
and so we just had the conversation of Ness telling us about Born and stuff like
yeah.
that. And Phantom, I don't know what Phantom was on at the time, but Phantom decided to be Phantom, and he just yells out to the crowd, because Born was rolling with like an entourage of
Yeah.
Asians, and we didn't know which one was Born.
Yeah.
And so Phantom was like, "Yo, which one of y'all niggas is Born?" He was like, "Yo, which one of y'all Born?" And Born, and you know how he is, bro. He just such a humble, just a humble, quiet soul type person, and just the most meek and humble person ever. He just
Yeah.
comes out amongst all the Asians and says, "Me, I'm Born." And and Phantom's like, "Oh, word." He's like, "Well, I heard you want to get down with us." He's like, "Why do you think you want to get down with us?" And just put him on the spot in front of everybody, bro. And he's just like, just so humble. He just goes, "Yeah." He's like, "It's true. I want to get down because I think y'all are the best right now."
Mm.
And just like that, Phantom was like, he was kind of took back. He was like, he wasn't expecting that answer.
Yeah.
I think he was thinking of like some kind of cocky answer or something like that. And he was just like, man, y'all are the best right now. He's
Mm.
like, and y'all inspire me. And he was just like, that was cool. Like, you can see, like, his panel was like, yo, that's like, this dude's alright. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's how we met Born. And from there on, we just that weekend we kind of vibed with him, and then when the jam, later on the last I think it was the last day of the jam, second day, we battled him in 777, triple
Mm.
seven. No, it was Born, the C4, and I think Mario from the Netherlands. And
Yeah.
as soon as we battled them in Cypher, the footage is online. Fire Cypher. Um, when 777 seen us battling, he was like, "Yo, y'all battling to get into Zulu Kings?" And he was like, "Yo, I'm getting in too." And he jumped in. He jumped in the battle. He jumped in the battle and said, "Yo, battle me in." And we battled him in too. And he's been with them ever since. And which is dope because he was already on the rock tip too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was perfect, and he had already been building with Kamel and everything. So
Yeah.
that's how 777 and Born both got in. They both got in with C4
Yeah.
and Mario.
That moves in nicely to the rocking part, because of course, Ready to Rock, you were already rocking. Now you're getting more and more exposure, and you're getting more, like, in New York you were meeting King Out Rock, Break Easy, so obviously your rocking game is more like leveling up as well. But eventually,
Mhm.
I want to go into how BVD came about, because that's more like a rocking part of it. But like, how was your rocking elevating at that time? Because you were mentioning that you guys are doing the rocking, even putting into breaking with Ready to Rock. So how was your rocking journey since you being in New York for that like 9-10 months? Like, how has that been elevating your rocking?
Well, what happened was, from the early days in '99 with Dre Live and Star
Mm.
Rockers getting exposed, and then later on, meeting Phantom, and then going to New York. And it's like, right, and then during the time of freestyle session, like I said, there was not a lot of people always rocking, so
Mm.
we were going hard with the rock, and at 2000, like, so 2010, I ended up going to I finished culinary school, and I went to Spain. I ended up going to Spain. I wanted to go to Spain. But before I went to Spain, I flew out of New York City. So I drove to New York, and then I stayed there for a couple weeks, and then I went to Spain for 3 months. So in that time that I went to New York, they had a battle in the Bronx, and it was the I can't remember the name of the battle, but anyways, it was when I battled King Uprock. So
Oh,
there
I
was a
remember
rock
that.
battle.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched that on loop, bro.
All city rockers.
Yeah, you had
Rock.
that black and red Ready to Rock shirt on, right?
Yes,
You got the Jordans on or something.
the Jordans, the red Jordans.
Yeah. I watched that on loop, bro.
Yeah. So there's a big confusion about when I want to talk about that battle because I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. Okay, the thing was, it was a lot of OGs that entered that battle, and this was when the Bronx Rockers, started to come out to the scene. Willie Estrada, Mike Dominguez, and Frank Rojas, and who was the other guy? I can't remember his name. But anyways, so we battled. So Phantom battled King Uprock first.
Okay.
And King Uprock lost. Phantom beat King Uprock, and so for whatever odd reason, I guess it was an odd number of people, and they needed another person, like sometimes happens.
Yeah.
So they decided to give King Uprock another chance. They brought him back.
What the hell?
After losing, yeah, they brought him back. They said give him a second chance, and so they brought him back. And so then that's why I battled King Uprock after he had already lost the Phantom.
Okay.
And then after our battle, King Uprock lost to me. I beat King Uprock. And so in the finals, it was me and Phantom in the finals. So a lot of people think that it was me and King Uprock first, and that I lost, and then it was Phantom and King Uprock in the finals. But it was actually Phantom and King Uprock was first. King Uprock lost. They brought him back because an odd number of people. So I battled him, and he lost again.
And the final was actually you against Phantom.
And the final was me and Phantom, which is the only battle that they never put out.
I have never seen that.
Yeah. So and then Phantom won.
That's crazy.
Phantom won, but we ended up splitting the money because it was like we felt like Ready to Rock won regardless. So that's what happened.
Was that like a moment that for you? Was it like a moment that for you guys that okay, people are taking notice of Ready to Rock as a rocking movement as well in that jam?
We had already. This is 2010. I mean, Freestyle Session was 2007, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were already rocking. People was already noticing us in 2006 when I lived there the first time. So we was already making moves and making noise as a rock force. You know what I mean? And so, of course, by 2010, I mean, I was already nice enough to beat King Uprock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like I was just starting to rock. I had already been rocking for a while now. So that's what happened. So I ended up going to Spain for 3 months. And after that, when I came back to Spain, I was like, I don't want to go back to Ohio. I called my aunt. I said, hey, I don't want to go back to Ohio. Is there any way I can stay with you until I get on my feet and I want to move back to New York? So that's what I did. I called my aunt. I stayed in New Jersey for about 3 months. I found a job in Manhattan, and then I found and at the same time, Nasty Yas had just moved to New York from France. Yes. And so we ended up getting an apartment in the same building together in Bushwick. And so I moved. Then I moved for the second time to New York in 2010. But this time I lived in Bushwick. So, and that is when I actually met Charlie Uprock. So I want to show you this picture. So I met Ringo first, right? This is when I moved. I first moved to Bushwick, Brooklyn, in 2010, and Ringo took me to a block party in Fort Greene
Word.
in Brooklyn, and it was a block party, and that's where a Rock with Style, Charlie Uprock's original crew, they're from Fort Greene, and this was a block party in Fort Greene, and this is where I met Charlie Uprock, and that's Redsky from Top Nine.
Yeah, Top Nine. Yeah.
Yeah, he was with me, and a lot of these other guys, they were like old school heads from friends of Charlie Uprock, and so I met Charlie Uprock through Ringo. And so this was a block party. This was my first day that I met Charlie Uprock, and Charlie Uprock, he actually lived like 3 blocks from my house in Bushwick where I lived.
Crazy.
So yeah, so when I found out that he, where he lived and stuff like that, we started hanging out, and he would come to my crib like 2 or 3 times a week, and we would hang out, and he would show me rock, and there's a picture of us, one of the days we was just chilling, when we used to just chill all the time, and he was actually the first person to really show me the Bushwick style, like in in depth. Like the songs, he broke down every song to me, how to dance, when to dance freestyle, when to jerk, and even the jerk, he showed me different variations of jerks and everything like that. So this is when, I really, really started to level up, with the rock as well. I was already good, but this took me to even a better, a higher level even before that. I mean, after that. So this was on top of my building where I lived at in Bushwick. And that church in the back there, that's the St. Barbara's on Central Avenue, and it was right next to Charlie's house where he lived, and that was a legendary spot back in the '70s where they used to have all the rock contests.
Wow, in the church.
Yep, it was in the church basement. They used to have all the rock contests back there in St. Barbara's.
I mean, I was going to ask you actually, like, who would you consider your main teacher or influence in terms of rocking? Because you have been to New York a few times and lived there in different period of time. Like, apart from Four Phantom, of course, obviously for being, like your partner at the time. Like, who were some of the people that you would consider your main influence when it comes to rocking?
Yeah. Let me see. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Yeah, so this was the picture of us, at 2000, this was like 2010 or 12, videos in there, and, Yas and Maine and everybody. So I would say that, originally, of course, Dre Live, without question.
Yeah.
He was my introduction. And but the thing was that his style is so unorthodox that he has his own style. It's so funky. It was hard for me to grasp. I'm still to this day trying to grasp a lot of his techniques. So he was way over my head. So it wasn't until I started to go out to New York like that first time, and I started to get more of a basic understanding of the rock, and the 7 Gems. This actually picture was a photo shoot from the 7 Gems.
Oh, wow.
That they took of us. Yeah, and that was at the 7 Gems studio. And so when I was living in New York, Ken Swift also reached out, and he invited us to come out to his private practices, and he wanted us to get down with the 7 Gems as a unit, ready to rock. Me, Yaz, and Maine and Midnight. And so they used to teach us their routines, and they wanted us to do shows with them. that ended up didn't work out because it was a conflict between Ness and Ken Swift.
Okay.
So we ended up like not going that route with the 7 gems. But I would say, you know, I learned from everybody. You know, I've always been just a student of dance. King Uprock, he never really taught me anything. I remember going to his practices, and he gave me a couple insights about burning, and that was it. You know, I remember Ringo showed me a couple. Showed me a couple burn moves, and that was pretty much about it. Uh, Break Easy showed me. He showed me the different levels of jerks. You know, quarter jerks, half jerks, stuff like that. And that was pretty much it. But the biggest was probably 7 gems. You know, they were, you know, just watching them and you know, studying them, Dre Live. But it was and Phantom. You know, doing routines with Phantom. You know, not that he necessarily showed me, hey, do this, do that, but you know, he kind of taught me by doing routines with him.
Word.
Just doing routines with him. You know, I got the vibe off of him. You know, different things and stuff like that. And Charlie Uprock. Charlie Uprock, you know, when he lived in the neighborhood a few blocks from me, and we hung out every day, and he broke down to me exactly what the Bushwick style was, how to do it, you know, different nuances to the jerks, the freestyles, the burns, and all that. And so, yeah, so I would say, I would have to say, you know, like again, I'm a student of everybody, even if I don't know who they, you know them personally. I'm studying their style. You know, I'm a student of the whole rock scene as a whole. But on a one-on-one level, I would say Dre Live, Phantom, and Charlie Uprock. Those were the biggest, you know, people who kind of put me on and took me under their wings to show me how.
I mean, also, Vix, you have a nickname called "A Man with a Million Burns," right? Like, how did that? Like, it's a crazy nickname, and it's you know, when I look at you break, or when you look at you rock, it makes sense because you have so many different arsenals of burns. But how did that style get developed? Was it something that you developed yourself, or like how did that nickname come about? Like, how did this whole, like, the idea of having so many burns, like, how did you develop that?
Yeah, that came from the breaking. Because I used to do a lot of burns in my footwork. And there's a round, if you watch the battle at Freestyle Session when we battle Born, and I was on fire that day. I used to do this one round where I would throw the cock burn. No, I don't do the cock burn anymore. But that's, you know, BVDS, we changed the cock burn to the cannon. You know, so we would make it more PG friendly and stuff like that. But at that time, yeah, that was one of the things that I had learned from Dre Live, and he used to do a lot of burns and stuff like that on the floor. So I took one of his burns that he did, it was cock burn, and I did it 7 different ways in one round.
Crazy.
I did that round in when we battled Born and stuff, and K-Mel seen it, and he was like, "Yo, my nigga just did 7 dicks in one round." And so like everybody started laughing, and like Paul One was actually the one who gave me the name, you know, the man with the billion burns. And it was a spinoff of Spy, the man with the million moves.
Yeah.
So that came from, you know, that really came from the breaking, and that traces back to the Ill Style Rockers and Dre Live influence, and the way that he gets down with a lot of texts and burns with his footwork. So I took that and I innovated it my own way.
You know, it had to be official if Paul One is the one that named you.
Yeah.
Best when it comes to his best. Yeah, you know it's official. You know it's official for sure. I mean, that,
and you know,
that
I was gonna say taking that to the rock aspect. You know, I just translated that to the rock as well. You know, with the burns, and that's what actually drew me to Papo Love.
Word.
You know, when I saw Papo Love, and I saw his burns, man, I was so intrigued right away. It's like, man, I'm a burner myself. But man, this guy is a master burner. You know what I mean? And so it's like I got to meet this guy, you know. And so when he was teaching a rock workshop in Cali, and was the freestyle session, I think it was 2006 or seven. I don't remember. I think it was six or seven. He, you know, I took his workshop, and I got to meet him, and then I seen his style, and actually Poe introduced us, and so yeah, so the rest was history, you know. But that was 2006. I battled Wacko, of course, in the freestyle session finals, and after that, that was a pretty legendary battle for me, you know, as far as the rock goes. You know, that makes me a finalist for freestyle session 2 times already. So that was a good feeling, you know, and it was a split decision, you know, for the judges. I feel like it, you know, really could have went in either way. But after that, I battled Little John the year after that, and you know, that was another battle that could have went either way. And then Kostek was the last battle. And you know, I don't know. I feel like I burned Kostek, bro. I burned Kostek. I mean, everybody knows I burned Kostek. You know? Whatever. I ended up winning, and that's when they did the battle in the finals. So I couldn't be happier for Aya, and it was such a high battle in the parking lot and all that.
That was crazy. That was
super dope, amazing experience. So yeah, so that was cool. But you know, those were definitely great battles for me. You know, very legendary, momentous. Like there were huge moments for me in my rock career and stuff like that. So
I want to ask you, actually, you mentioned like about Papo, right? Which obviously leads me to BVD. But I was just thinking in my head, like, so you are someone that is, I would say, already very established in the rock game. You had your own style, you know, you had your own influences. You are pretty well known in the rock game. So what makes you still had that hunger to kind of say to yourself, okay, I'm a burner, Papo is a burner, I want to still elevate myself further by, you know, connecting with Papo and then eventually being in BVD? How did that part come about for someone like that is already, I would consider, at the top at that time, you know?
Well, I think the answer is kind of in the question, because I always want to keep elevating. You know, I never want to stay still. I never want to stay with the same, you know, style. You know, I'm always a student of the dance. And so I'm always looking for new styles to learn and new styles to conquer, you know. And so I don't care if it's Bronx style, Brooklyn style, outlaw style, freestyle, rock style. You know, I want to learn all of it because I want to master all of it so that I can put it together and create my own style, my own way. You know, but first I want to do it and master it exactly how the creator of that style does it. So I want to mimic exactly them so that I can flip it. You know, and if I can't master exactly like them, I try to get as close to it as possible. So then once I get that style under my belt, and then I can flip it and make it my own and do it my own way. You know, but I don't want to do it my own way without mastering the way they did it first. You know, so that's always my goal. And so like what attracted me to the BVDs was like my other crew, like MZK, Ready to Rock, is always top tier, you know, members. You know, everybody's got to be at this high level of a dancer before you can get down with the crew. You know, because it's only the top cream of the crop. And so what I really like and love about the BVDs is like you don't have to be the best to be down with the crew. We have some of the best in the crew. But you don't have to be the best because it's not about being the best per se, but it's more just about spreading the rock and the rock culture in the movement. You know what I mean? And spreading the burning style, which is it's an essential style, and it's a huge puzzle piece to the greater rock picture. You know, and largely lost if it wasn't for Papo coming back and showing us what the original Outlaw looked like. You know, and so that was intriguing to me, the fact that, and then, coming from Coney Island and from that area, which is, similar to Spice and Nago and these guys who were not from Bushwick, they had their own style. And so I also felt that connection with him. That's like, there's more than rock. There's more to rock than just Bushwick.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? You got Coney Island, Park Slope, the Red Hook, and all these other areas that rock differently. And so, like I said, it's just about spreading the rock and spreading this, this other puzzle piece, that's missing link, to the rock. And so it's like, that really intrigued me. And so, I started out just by learning from Papo. I was hitting him up and, doing video sessions, and he would show me different moves and stuff like that. And, from then I just like, I love what y'all are doing. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, I want to push myself. I want to push myself, and I want to grow. I don't want to be stagnant and stale. I want to keep growing. So it's like, yo, Papo, when you gonna put me down with the BVDs, man? Like, let's do this. He's like, what? You don't want to be down? You want to be down with the BVDs? He's like, nah, bro. You're gonna be the vice president of the BVDs.
That's crazy.
Just like that. He told me right away. And so, right away, it's like I started, organizing the crew. You know what I'm saying? He gave me, and then what I love about Papo is that he gave me the tools, and he gave me the support that I needed, because like I said, I wanted to grow the rock. I want to grow the rock, but a lot of the other crews, it's like, if you're not at this level, then you can't be down, so he allowed me to cultivate and disciple people, in the rock culture. And that's what I love about the BVDs, is that we have, our own discipleship program in the rock. And so that I can train my own students, I can handpick my own students, and I train them in the rock, and I can build them up, and we can spread the rock. And that's what we've been doing. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good way of explaining, because I think for a lot of people, they might see that BVD is recruiting all these guys around the world. They might have a misconception that, oh, it's just like the TVB back in the day when they try to just, get everybody in, make it big. But the way that you explain it makes a lot more sense, because you are actually cultivating, which is the word that caught me, cultivating the scene, and also to spread more positiveness about the rock. But what I wonder was, because I guess before BVD is starting to make a comeback, like you are involved now, but before that, I feel like there was a lot of bitterness or politics or beef or whatever you want to call it between different crews in the rock, right? And I feel like you guys came in there almost like demolished that idea, and you put something completely different on the table, where you are not spreading the beef anymore. You are spreading the love, and everybody, come on, let's rock together. It's okay to all rock. It's okay to be different crews. Is that something that you and Papo talked about before you got down as a VP, or was that something that you kind of brought onto the whole BVD like expansion movement?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I saw what they were doing, and I took the vision. Like, I saw a vision, the same way kind of like Taekwondo saw a vision before he got, before he got down with MZK, and kind of molded it and put the framework, the infrastructure, to it to be able to reach that vision. It's kind of the same thing. Like, I saw the potential, and I saw that we could put I could put an infrastructure in the crew, to where we can be something powerful. We can be so influential. You know what I mean? We can be an influential movement and a voice in the rock scene. And Papo, I feel like Papo gave me that voice. He gave me the reign and the authority. It's like, I support you. I have your back 100%. Go do your thing with this crew. And so, we did. We started an online, boot camp. You know what I mean? It's a private BVD boot camp, and so, we handpick our own students, and we train them up. And it doesn't matter if they have zero rock experience. We train you from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, Not that we have put anybody down. No, you got to go through a rigorous, 6 months to a year program. And so we train you. And if you got the hunger, you got the desire to go through the program, then you can be eligible to be down with the BVDs.
That's dope, man. I mean, that's really empowering for people like myself who's trying to build a community out here when it comes to rock. So seeing like people like yourself building something on a much bigger scale is like inspiring for me.
Yeah, for sure, bro. And then you're doing great things, bro, too, as well. Like what you're doing in out there in Hong Kong, man. You see the rock growing, and you're seeing these big Apache line practices and everything like that, and all this, the Instagram page, and all of this, bro. You're doing the same thing as far as where you're at in your side of the world. You're bringing the rock to people. It's like you're encouraging them and empowering them. It's like, hey, you don't have to be the best. This is a dance for everybody. Everybody can do this, and it's just about having fun. Get in it and have fun and learn it. And take it where you want. You can be good. You can make yourself someone out of this. You know what I'm saying? So that's all we're doing. That's all we try to do with the BVDs. Like I said, it's not about being the best, man. You know what I mean? But we give you the tools. If you want to be the best, you can be the best too. You know what I mean? And we got some of the hardest heavy hitters in the world in our crew. You know what I mean? So,
okay. Last part.
You're good, bro.
For this one, I really just kind of want to like pick your brain a little bit about something that's more recent. So, we're talking about how the rocking scene has, been elevating, been getting better, been getting bigger. And of course, recently there's Red Bull BC1, and then there is a freestyle session, which gave even more exposure to the dance. Like, what was it like for you being part of freestyle session as a judge? And how was it judging with a system, I guess, for the first time in terms of rocking? Like, how was that for you as a judge going into freestyle session with the new rocking kind of like trend?
Well, first of all, I was honored to be there. And I think it was, it was a pleasure and it was a privilege. I would definitely big shout outs to Wacko, for letting me be a part of that. And I think it was fitting, bro. I think it was fitting because as far as the freestyle sessions in the past, and the battles that I've done, and the impact that they've had. It was only right, you know what I'm saying, that that he made me a part, especially me and Wacko being the finalists in the first one. You know what I mean? So it was cool. It was cool, and I felt like it brought the rock around full circle. So I love that. And I don't have to worry about battling nobody. I can sit back and relax and just enjoy and watch the rock grow. And that was amazing for me. So as far as the battle and the point system, I think it's awesome that we implemented a point system. It's really nothing too fancy about it, but just the idea, of being more technical about the way we judge, and trying to make that step that in the right direction forward as far as organizing this rock dance. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that was a step in the right direction. We need to keep pushing forward and making pushing this rock dance to the forefront. So that it gets the result, the respect that I feel like it deserves. So like in that aspect, it was great. It was a good idea. Try to, and it's not perfect. It still needs work. I had to judge 20 people in 5 minutes, 1 to 10, all 20 people.
That's crazy.
It was crazy, bro. And it was hard to do, and luckily, with, my experience with judging, I got the hang of it. I could do it. But, it's not easy. You don't have to be an experienced judge to be able to do that. You know what I mean? So, I think that, certain things could be definitely improved on. I think you know, I was talking to Papa 774, and he brought out some great points about, you know, a lot of the rock music, not in the battle, but outside of the battle in the room. It could have been a lot better music played so that we can dance and groove out and have fun in the room.
Yeah.
You know, besides having the battle, you know, and different things like that that, you know, we could improve on in the prelims. You know, the prelims. I mean, you know, that was the toughest part. Like I said, I had to judge 20 dancers, you know, and rate them 1 to 10 in less than 5 minutes. So it was very difficult, but you know, I think that could have been broken up, you know, a little bit better, and you know, had more Apache lines, I think, so that everybody could get a more time to be judged, you know, on their dance, and be able to judge more accurately, you know, a lot of the people who entered. So, but you know, as a whole, we did what we could, you know, and if you didn't bring it, then you didn't advance. So, you know, we had to pick the top 16 out of 40 heads. So, but yeah, I think it was a good step in the right direction. And, you know, and as far as the point system, you know, like I said, it wasn't really nothing special. You know, we did take some points out for crossing the line or touching, which I think was a good thing because it teaches you control. And when I battled my first battle, I never mentioned this. I actually battled. I don't remember what year it was. At a B-Boy Summit when Seven Gems had a rock battle in the B-Boy Summit. It had to have been around 2006 or 7, and it was my first rock battle. And they had a line, and so like if you cross the line, you got disqualified. You know, and so you know, it teach you control. You know, it teach you control. And even Charlie, you know, Charlie Chill Out was like, you know, something I need to work on. You know what I mean? Because I don't think about that. And you know, back in the days, you know, you didn't cross the line, you didn't touch nobody. You know what I mean? And you maybe got close to their face, but you never touched them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you don't have that type of control, then then you need to level up. So
that's dope. I mean, Charlie also mentioned about, you know, you judging was you know, you were very honest, and you were also able to give feedbacks, which I thought was a very good point that he mentioned, because I feel like there's a lot of debate about judging in rocking when it comes to like who should judge, why this person shouldn't judge, all that kind of stuff. So it was very refreshing to hear Charlie mentioning the details that you put in to let them know the feedback, because I feel like, you know, rocking compared to breaking is still quite a little bit behind in terms of like the judging and everything. So it was very nice to just hear Charlie give that feedback, so people know actually, yo, rocking is organized, it's getting more organized, more professional, moving forward. So people who have more of a positive mindset about how rocking is going.
Yeah, and you know, what happened with Charlie is that you know, like I said, he got one of his songs, and it was Time by Edwin Starr or whatever. And you know, he was really good with that song. I mean, burning. And I had him winning by like 10 points, bro. And but those are my personal points that I take. So when I'm judging the battle, let's say, you know, somebody starts off with an ill freestyle right off the bat, boom, I give him a point. And somebody hits a dope jerk, and you know, and with the beat, I give him a point. And then someone gets a burn off, nice, I give him a point. So I'm judging point by point by point by point. Let's say both of them do a dope move at the same time, they both get a point. You know, and at the end of the battle, I'm adding up all the points, and whoever had the most points wins. That was what I did to decide who was the winner.
Yeah.
You know, and so after I decided who was the winner, you know, I just, you know, that was just, you know, all those points that I added up don't matter. It just helps me. It just helps me to decide who I think is the winner.
Yeah.
So I had Charlie winning by like 10 points. Goody voted for Boogie, and and Vadiman voted for Charlie. So because he got some points deducted, it ended up working out that it was a tie.
Crazy.
Yeah, and that was the only tie of the whole competition. And but this time, when what they did was they threw a freestyle song. It was like T Plays It Cool or something like that. Super chill. It was a chill rock freestyle track, which some people would say, "Oh man, that wasn't the right track. It should have been a hype, a rock track for a tiebreaker." I disagree. I think it was the perfect track to play because it's like, okay, you're burning. All right, let's see who can dance.
Word.
You know what I mean? Let's see who got the freestyle aspect. You know what I mean? Because we've been seeing burning and jerking all day. You know what I mean? So it really came down to the freestyle aspect, since the song for the tiebreaker was a freestyle song, and we all unanimously agreed Boogie Rock got that. And so but Charlie did his thing, man. I'll be honest. I thought it was going to be Charlie and Boogie and Babylon in the finals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really thought that. That was my what do you call the that was my whatever
prediction.
Prediction. Yeah, that was my prediction. But it came down to the freestyle, which was dope. Which is dope, and it's like the freestyle aspect was actually the depending factor. So it just goes to show, man. You never know, man. You got to be able to do it all, and at the end of the day, it's a dance. And it boils down to your connection with the music, you know what I mean, and how you dance. Can you dance? You know what I mean? It's a dance first, and the burning and everything like that. Those are added pluses. Those are cherries on top. But the essence of it is the dance.
Yeah, sure. All right, yo. Before we go, I wanted to ask you for like any current project that you have, or any current stuff you're involved with that you want to give a shout out to, or what should we look out for in 2023 for VIX Vapor Rub? Like, what are we looking out for?
Yeah, so for sure. So I'm doing a lot. I've been getting into DJing. So I've been DJing for the last 2 years. So I'm all vinyl, strictly vinyl, and my plan for the next 2013 coming up. I have my own jam. It's going to be called the King of Kings.
Nice.
And Cypher Jam. It's a Cypher Jam, and so I'm going to start out here in Ohio. I'm looking at taking it to Toronto and possibly Atlanta and Arizona and different places. So be on the lookout for that. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a Cypher Jam, Cypher King and Queen. And so that's one of the things I'm looking out for. Also, of course, the BVDs, we're expanding, we're doing our thing. We're not stopping anytime soon. Of course, you have the Illstar Rockers Jam, December 23rd in Akron, Ohio. If you want to come out, reach out. And whatever else the Lord, has in my life for me to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this has always been my calling. This dancing is something that I feel that is a gift from God. So I definitely want to give that gift back to Him and let Him use me, and so that I can plant seeds, wherever I can with the rock, and just I want to see the rock grow. I want to see unity in the rock. I'm trying to bring the OGs together so that we can be on one mind and one accord. I'm doing these lives with Taekwon so that we can kind of talk to the OGs, because the OGs are so necessary, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of them, their mentalities hold us back.
Yeah.
So I want to get everybody on the same page so we can take the rock as a whole to the next level.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I'm really working on. So just be on the lookout for that, I guess. And thank you, bro. Thank you for your interest in the rock and everything that you're doing. You know what I mean? Like we're all unified. You know what I'm saying? We're the younger generation, and we have to come together. So I'm all about unity. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what camp, what style you have. You know what I'm saying? We're all rock. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter if you're good or you're bad. You know what I'm saying? If you love the rock, you love what you do, you know, just keep doing it, man. That's what it's all about.
Word. Yo, Fix, thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry I overran like crazy. I know you must be back in bed.
It's
Thank you
all
so
good.
much, bro.